It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hi, I'm Courtney Forrest.
I'm Tony Schumacher.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan. This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhardt.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Costello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Costello.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of WFO Radio NHRA Nitro. I'm Joe Costello and this is a winner's edition. The Toyota Sonoma NHRA Nationals out there at Sonoma Speedway Motorsports Bruton Smith track. And it looked like it was packed, like a lot of people coming out to hang out, watch NHRA Mellow Yellow drag racing. On this edition, we have got the winners. We have got Steve Torrance, we have got J.R. Todd, we have got Tanner Gray, and we have got L.E. Tonglet, all on the show, plus NHRA National Dragsters Candida Benson was out there at the event. She's going to give her thoughts. And we have Cade Poe, who is a Summit Racing Equipment Junior Drag Racing League driver who has won 5 conference championships. That is more than anybody else. Won 4 Western Conference championships. This year went out east and won again. And it is unbelievable that this young man is 5 for 5 in final rounds. We're going to speak with Cade Poe on the show. So if you're a junior dragster racer or a fan of Nitro, there is something for you on this podcast. Hopefully you will subscribe. You will share it with your friends. You will tell everybody that you know. Good place to hear about NHRA Mellow Yellow drag racing. A lot of the inside stuff gets aired here on WFO Radio. And it is brought to you by the folks at Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure, FrankHawley.com. You got to try it out. You can drive a dragster. Go to FrankHawley.com. Find out more. Rodax Coffee and Grills.com. I love seeing our listeners tweet the photograph of when the box shows up with all the coffee at their house. That is awesome. It is a great moment. You get the Rodax, the aroma, the coffee, the hot sauce, the spice rub, everything good. Rodax, Coffee, and Grills.com. The School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, samtech.edu. Maybe you don't quite have a plan for what you want to do in life, but you'd love to be a high-performance engine builder or a machinist, a job that they can't outsource, take away, something that can factor into your racing. Well, samtech.edu is a sponsor of WFO Radio. Go there. Check it out. It could be something that you end up doing for the rest of your life. Education at full speed, samtech.edu. RacerSupplyStore.com. Parts to your door. Competitive pricing and fast. You can get a discount using the WFO Radio promo code WFO Radio. 5% off. RacerSupplyStore.com. Folks at Drag Racing Edge Magazine, Extreme Velocity 3, Drag Racing, BigFishTools.com, all helping out with WFO Radio. But right now, it is time to get to the man who called the action out there at Sonoma. Give us his debrief session, race 2 of the Western Swing. Joining us now, he is the voice of the NHRA. He called the action at the NHRA Toyota Sonoma Nationals, a race that appeared packed as well. Alan Reinhardt joins us now. Alan, welcome back.
Hey, Joe, great to be back. Yeah, you're right about one thing. It was packed, and it was a heck of an event. Boy, it was tough sledding getting in and out of the pits and back in between haulers, between rounds. There were just simply a ton of folks there.
Why would you not want to come out and watch an NHRA Mellow Yellow Series event? The way the season has gone, headed to Seattle this weekend, then Brainerd, then Indy, then the countdown. Now is the time, and it seems like drag racing fans are responding.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And when you look at Sonoma, the facility is tremendous. The people that run it are tremendous. The history that we've had there is tremendous. And what's my favorite thing to say?
Give us a shot. Give us one. Give us good weather, and the rest will handle it.
Give us good weather, and we'll take care of the rest. From like 10 o'clock in the morning until the jet cars went down at night, it was never below 65 degrees, and I don't believe it was ever above 75 degrees. It was just a spectacular, beautiful weekend. There was just enough breeze to starting line after the cars did burnouts. The performance numbers in the side-by-side competition speaks for itself. And, the fans came out in droves to see it. Obviously there's a long history of drag racing in California, even up in the Bay Area. There's a lot of tracks out there that have come and gone over the years. But Sears Point maintains, or Sonoma Raceway, I'm sorry, I get yelled at for that. Sonoma Raceway maintains, and they still put on a tremendous show.
Well, I want to get there one of these days. That's one of the tracks I have yet to visit yet, and it looks beautiful, and obviously it's in wine country, Northern California. Very, very cool stuff. All right, I want to get into a bunch of different things. There's so much on the table just in the performances. Robert Hight, Matt Smith, huge mile per hour. That was awesome. Leah Pritchett, elapsed time at a low mile per hour. What was going to happen on that run? All of these things, but I really think that everyone wants me to start off with Pro Stock Motorcycle in the final round and the Facebook controversy. I always tell you, don't go on Facebook, Alan, and this is one of those weeks where it's a great advice. People are basically bringing the credibility of the CompuLink timing system into question. 2/10,000ths of a second. A lot of the Matt Smith fans out there claiming Matt Smith won the race. I think that's very dangerous to start calling into question, basically, the CompuLink timing system, which has been so good for so long.
Well, the CompuLink timing system is absolutely the best one there is out there. It picked the winner as being Ellie Tolland by 2/10,000ths of a second, which literally is a margin of less than an inch. I saw the same finish line picture that everybody else is talking about. As far as camera angle, as far as, distance from the truck, I honestly don't know any of that. I look at that picture and I think the same thing everybody else does. It sure looks like Matt's out in front. But, that's, as a general rule, not how we determine the winners in NHRA. And, you have to keep in mind that if the bikes are a half an inch apart, it just takes a degree or two of the camera being off directly on the finish line to make it look different. I think if you looked at it a foot before the finish line, it would look considerably different than after because they are so close. But, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not going to get stirred up in the controversy. I look at the same picture and thought the same thing everybody else does. From that angle and that picture, it looks like Matt's out in front. But the electronics that we've relied on for, 30, 35 years now in NHRA shows it the other way. And to my knowledge, there's been one time in NHRA history when the CompuLink system failed to pick the correct winner. It was a motorcycle race. It was Indy a few years ago. And the determination was made that because the front tires are so thin that they could potentially skip the beam, at that point they put the discs inside the wheels of the front wheels of the Pro Stock motorcycles, became rule, and of course every team was going to jump on that anyway. And since then, I don't know of it calling one wrong. So that's pretty much all I've got to say about it.
And there you have it. What I would say, I just want to add that I think it's dangerous, not to our lives, but to the credibility of the sport to call into question results. How many times a weekend do we see a race settled by a couple of thousandths or even 10,000ths of a second? All of a sudden, every one of those people now has got beef, and they can run to their Facebook page and start saying, oh, it's not right, and I got jobbed, and this sport, and that's very dangerous. Why would you want to do that, especially when the next race out, it could go the other way, and you could be the winner by 2/10,000ths or 1/10,000th of a second. You're basically opening the door to your competitor saying, you didn't win either, and that's not going to help the class, the sport. And I really believe, I saw the picture too, but I was disturbed by it in that there are multiple pictures out there that show it in different light. There's one that shows LE is ahead. Like you said, 1 inch, 1 foot of camera angle could make all the difference in the world. The second you start calling into question the credibility of the timing system, of the rules makers, of the sanctioning body, because you lost by a couple of thou or 10 thou, it's not good for the sport, and I think that's a bad move.
Well, I think, you look at the credibility of the timing system, part of the reason that we don't have to do backup runs on record runs anymore is because the timing system is so accurate. And, you've sat in the tower and called a few thousand races with sportsmen and pros out here with us. How often is there a legitimate timing system malfunction? Occasionally we will have a piece of debris that blows through a beam or something on the track that causes a stop or something on a race car that causes an inadvertent start. But how often does something come up where you go, yep, that's it. The timing system failed. I know that used to be one of Mike Dunn's catchphrases, but the reality of it is the timing system doesn't fail. And, in this particular case, it called Ellie the winner, and the one camera angle, the one picture that I saw, I don't think that's enough evidence to overturn it, and that's simply my opinion.
And on our Facebook page, I have posted basically the two camera angles, or the two photos. There's one of Ellie, it looks like he's winning, and there's one with Matt. It's the same shot, but from different people, or I don't even know where they're coming from. But one shows it one way, one shows it the other way. I will spend a little more time on this during my time, because drag racing is getting momentum behind it. It's a good thing for everybody, especially in the sponsor search. Would not be a good thing to call into question the credibility of the scoring system. And that's what so many people did, and I feel like it's just a bad idea. Bad idea to do it, since next race, you could be the one winning by 1/10,000th of a second, and someone's just going to call into question your win, and then we've got finger point. What are we going to get, a guy with a flashlight down there, Alan? Like, hey, Alan, what'd you see? I'll camp out on the finish line, Alan, and I'll just tell everybody who won. How about that?
There you go. If you want that job, it's all yours. Thank
you very much. And now, that having been said, Matt Smith, a wonderful weekend. Number one qualifier, 199.88. So close.
Yeah, I was waiting for that all weekend long. I kept talking to the guys down in the pits and watching the weather pretty closely and watching the flag pretty closely. And, it was, I think it was possible that you had to be perfect. There was a couple of times when you go, okay, if you take this guy's half-track mile an hour and he picked up as much as this guy and da-da-da, that, potentially it could have been there, but nobody did it yet. So we'll just wait and see. Next race for the motorcycles, if I'm not mistaken, is Brainerd, and we'll just have to see which way the weather and wind goes there.
There you go. Ellie Tonglet over Matt Smith in the final round. Ellie, just an unbelievable march with victories this year. Wins the Mickey Thompson Pro Bike Battle. If nothing else, coming out of the controversy, we're talking about Pro Stock Motorcycle first, giving them a little bit of love because of a little bit of controversy.
Well, there you go. That's all right with me, I guess. The one thing that I thought was really, really telling about the Pro Stock motorcycles was, and believe me, nobody understands more than me how different Denver is. From all the years that I spent in the Pro Stock world and that kind of stuff, I know how different Denver is. But how could Eddie Krawick be so good in Denver and so bad in Sonoma?
Yeah, number 9 qualifier, bounced out second round.
And in Denver, he was absolutely the class of the field. He was quick every round. He was made the second quickest run in Denver history. In Denver, nobody could touch him. And, from looking at that, and Andrew wasn't quite that good, but he certainly wasn't bad. And from looking at that, it was like, okay, well, the brand new Harleys have finally, been figured out. They're going to be back on track. And then they show up in Sonoma, both qualify in the bottom half of the field and both go home fairly early. So I was surprised about that. I think you should congratulate Ellie also on his Mickey Thompson Tire Pro Bike Battle win. That's a pretty nice double-up weekend for him.
Absolutely. 7,500 smackers going to help him somewhere down the road. And it's time to start thinking, and I have said flat out, from the moment they announced that Ellie Tonglet was going to be part of the White Alligator Racing team, watch out. And he's proven it. Obviously, it has been really good, and we're going to watch it come to crescendo. Brainerd, Indy, playoffs, just like that. It's so crazy to think about it. Top Fuel, Leah Pritchett, number 1 qualifier, continuing her great season. That unbelievable qualifying ET with 366, but only 304 miles per hour, Alan. What was possible on that run?
65, maybe a 64. You make all the ET early in the run. The speed is simply the last 66 feet, and it banged a little bit before that 66 clock. But I'm a do the math kind of guy. Do you know the difference between 300 miles an hour and 330 miles an hour over 66 feet?
No.
14 thousandths of a second.
Aha.
So if you lose 10 thousandths of a second before the 66 feet, and then, not quite 14 because she went 306, and then 10 thousandths, potentially you're looking at 200ths maybe, if it runs 330 miles an hour, and if it runs all the way to the finish line stripe. So the ET is all made up very early. She went 2.92 seconds at the 8th mile. That is getting it. And then, it shut off, hurt itself just before the finish line. But when you look at a run like that, and you go, wow, it was off, 25 miles an hour. That could have potentially been a 360. No, it wasn't going to be a 360. It was going to be a 65, maybe a 64. It was a tremendous run no matter what it was. But all of the lap time is made up in the first 600, 700 feet. The speed is just the last little bit. And I just thought that was really telling, that the difference between a 300-mile-an-hour run and a 330-mile-an-hour run over 66 feet is 14 thousandths of a second.
Wow.
So if you're down 15, 20, 25 miles an hour, you didn't give away a tenth in performance. You gave away a few thousandths in performance.
Yeah, hundredth and a half, basically. That is a very interesting little formula there, and I like it. And by the way, that's how bracket racers make their money, formulas like that. I see Clay Millican and Terry McMillan making it hard on the announcers out there. That's interesting. Final round, though, Antron Brown and Steve Torrence, and Torrence is now clawing back some of that unbelievable statistic that we were talking about earlier this year. Now 4-22 against Antron, but these are making a big difference now. And he's off the starting line first, 378, wins the race after taking down Brittany Force, Doug Coletta, and Troy Coughlin Jr.
You're right about that. And, I hope he's not using up all of his luck too early. I mean, right now he is on just an amazing run. The car's running well. They only qualified sixth, but, when I say only qualified sixth, they were, 400s off of the pole, something like that. Everybody was in the 360s and real low 370s just because the weather and the racetrack were so good. But they've got a really, really good race day combination going right now, and those guys are for real. Anybody thinks you can't do it with a single car team, I'd like to present Exhibit A, Steve Torrence.
Oh, absolutely. And this is what so many people have been wanting for so long. What do you call them, the keyboard commandos or something? In that, the super teams and enough of the super teams. Okay, now it's time to put up or shut up, to coin a phrase, in that you've got your single-car team. You've got your guy. He's from Texas. He's shooting the six guns. Are you either on board with Steve Torrence through this championship run as he battles out? You got a chance for fandom here, Steve Torrence and his team.
Well, and especially since the guy's got, a great personality. He's having a lot of fun doing it. He's not a corporate, I would like to thank my sponsor and my crew chief did a great job. He's just out there, whooping it up. He shows up in the winner's circle in Sonoma with a Miller Lite in his hand. And I went, dude, are you serious? He says, dude, I'm from Texas. We drink beer in Texas. He says, Guy Fieri, my buddy's here. He's a Miller Lite guy. He says, we're going to party it up with Miller Lite. We might go wine shopping tomorrow, but this is a beer kind of day. And I thought, that's just a riot, and the fact that, he's genuine. Anybody that knows Steve Torrence and knows his story, there's a reason that he's so excited and having so much fun right now. He went through a cancer scare. I mean, the guy's only, 30 years old? He's been through a cancer scare that he wasn't supposed to survive. He had a heart attack at 27 that could have got him. And, right now, he's living the dream and enjoying every single minute of it. And it's just fun that he's taking everybody along for the ride.
No, it is. It's awesome. It's a great thing. And who knows where it will end. Get your popcorn ready. Terry McMillan going to the semis. And beats Leah Pritchett, number one qualifier. You gotta. If I had a cap, I'd tip it.
Well, Terry qualified the middle field, as you said. He and Clay. But fortunately for me, they were the 8 and 9 pair, and they ended up being first. So I didn't have to deal with it on Sunday. They did race each other a couple of times during qualifying, so I had to go through say McMillan Millican 3 times fast. See, then there you have it. But when Clay smoked the tires in the first round, that gave him a shot. And that 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 top fuel battle is for real. Troy Coughlin's struggling a bit right now, but Scott Palmer, Terry McMillan, those guys need every point they can get, and they are being pretty serious about those first and second rounds. They've got to do that if they want to stay in the top 10, and both of them desperately want to hold on to their spots.
And for years now, Terry has finished 11th and has invested in his team greatly, the folks at Amalie, and now 8th, and, fighting and clawing. It's going to be, there's 11 cars really fighting for 10 spots. And will it be Troy Coughlin? Will it be Sean Langdon? Will it be Scott Palmer? Will it be Terry McMillan, who are on the outside when the countdown starts? That is a race within a race. That's why we designed the countdown, or I didn't design it, but they designed the countdown, and I think it is adding for extra excitement. And Langdon is coming on, even after having missed some races. He is coming on, and it might be his teammate who is the victim. In funny car, how about Tommy Johnson? The cat-like reflexes are, shown on the starting line, but if you ever questioned, that is a perfect example. That thing is breaking, and Tommy kept it off the wall. I don't know how he did it. That was amazing.
Well, Tommy's a veteran. He's been doing this a long time, and he is really good at what he does. One of the other things that he's really good at is he's very aware inside the car. He knows when it dropped a cylinder. He knows when it's blown through the clutch. He knows when something just isn't quite, because he's made so many runs. And, and you've been down at the end of the racetrack. How often does a driver get out and go, man, what happened out there? Or what was that? Or I couldn't figure out what was going on. Tommy never says that. He gets out of the race car. He knows what's happened. He knows what's going on. When the thing sheared the axle and spit the wheel off of it, he recovered quickly enough that I believe it just brushed the wall with the body, but they didn't have to bring out another chassis. And then he got the thing safely stopped. And, they went back to work and came back and tried it again. But a pretty rare, when's the last time you saw a nitro car shear an axle? And B, when's the last time you saw a Don Schumacher car do something like that? Those guys, there's nobody that's on top of their maintenance program more than Don Schumacher's team is. So, whatever the issue was that caused the failure, Tommy turned it into a minor issue instead of a disaster.
Absolutely. And in qualifying, how about the mile per hour? Robert Height, that's just mind-numbing. After Topeka, I thought, well, that was, once in a couple of year kind of conditions, and we saw some huge numbers.
Well, Friday night was pretty good conditions for the nitro cars as well. That's when Leah ran the 366 at only 304. That's, Robert with a 339-mile-an-hour run. I asked at pre-race ceremonies, how many of you guys were here Friday night? Of course, all the hands go up. And I said, how many of you guys were doing the same thing I was doing? Staring at that scoreboard going, does that really say 339? The car went 292 miles an hour at the 8th mile. The car went 3.08 seconds at the 8th mile. That's a funny car. And it was definitely hustling, no question about it. Robert, Jimmy Prock, Chris Cunningham, they can make that car really, really fast. They need to make it more consistent on Sundays, and obviously that's what they're working on, but that's what they're going to need if they want to go a long ways and deep into the countdown.
Robert, as number one qualifier, goes to the second round, and Tim Wilkerson got him in a pedal fest situation. Then Tim is able to go to the final round over Courtney, where he faces J.R. Todd. J.R., who battled his teammate first round, Alexis, and that's been happening a lot, took out John Force in the second round, and that crazy run in the semifinal against Jack Beckman. I actually got an email from one of our listeners, and I'll just read it real quick because he was at the race. This is from Kenneth Casey. Went to the races on Sunday. Great event. Wanted to give Alan Reinhardt a word of appreciation. He was great to listen to all day. Very informative, funny at times, and entertaining. I learned things from him during the race. Pretty cool. I was thinking about a funny car run with Jack and JR. JR smoked the tires at the hit. Beckman smoked them further down the track. JR gathered it up and beat him. Was this one of those times where Beckman's crew shut off the car, like Caps has been discussing with the remote?
What Jack said later in the day was that the pan pressure switch shut the car off. When we went back and looked at the replay, it definitely had a cylinder out, 300 feet, 400 feet down track. It left on all 8, but it dropped one out in the middle. And you got to remember that the car blew up in the last round right at the finish line. It banged the blower, broke the body, did a lot of damage down there. What Jack said was that the pan pressure, and there's a sensor on the cars that if it burns a piston and the crankcase pressure goes past a certain number, then at that point the engine blow up is inevitable, and there's a sensor that gets that pressure and will shut the car off. And Jack said that's what shut the car off. So that's all I've got to go by.
Well, there you have it. And with that switch, Caps has talked about it, safety. He's crusaded for it, but also savings of money. There is going to be a time where it's, a call is made and something funny happens and the opponent gets around. That having been said, it's probably still worth it if we're talking about all the times it does work.
Well, and I think if you talk to, if you're talking championships on the line last 2 races of the season, that's a different deal. If you're talking at this point of the season, if your team is locked in, you've got your wins for the Traxxas Nitro Shootout, you're pretty comfortable that you're going to make the countdown. If you give away a race and save a race car, that's probably still a win. And who knows what would happen going further. But, hypothetically speaking, like I said, in the second round, the Infinite Hero team banged the blower, damaged the body pretty bad. You're a long way from home out here. It's not like, okay, go grab another one, I'll see you in 10 minutes. Now, if they are looking at that potentially as, if we blow up another body, what are we going to do for Seattle? or, then giving away the race probably wouldn't be the end of the world. And I think that's the way most teams would have looked at it. But as I said, in this case, according to Jack, it was a safety circuit on the car, not the crew chief that shut it off. The bottom line was what JR said in the winter circle I thought was classic. He said that they had a race early in the year where his car smoked the tires at the step, and he just let it go. And Robert, I believe you said it was Robert, was further down track and kind of mixing up cylinders, and his car was not running very well. And he said he got back to the pits, and Jimmo says, dude, what'd you give up for? And JR says, look, he says, I see him out there the race. I don't want to blow up the car. I don't want to tear up stuff. I don't want to yell at by Connie. And he really felt like, he had made the right decision. That the chance of winning the race versus the chances of doing something stupid and looking even dumber, that he made the right decision. He said, then the crew guys came to him and went, we put a lot of effort into this. I can't believe you gave up on us. And he said that really stuck with him, that he felt like he let down the guys that are out there, the blood, sweat, and tears, not the guys that are sitting in the air-conditioned lounge, and decided, what, if I have another opportunity to do this, those guys wouldn't quit on me. I'm not quitting on them. And he said that's exactly what he thought about when he hit the gas the second time. He said it hooked up and took off, and he's like, I don't know if I can catch him or not, but I am not giving up. My guys won't give up on me. And it ended up, obviously being the winning moment of the race.
Wow, that is a great story. We're going to speak with J.R. Todd coming up on the show, as well as L.E. Tonglet, Tanner Gray, working on Steve Torrance, and that is a great story. Some interesting stats that came my way, and, I know some are important, some are not that important, like first African-American to win in funny car, coming from Coletta Motorsports. They delivered that one to me. That is very interesting. I don't know. Also, first junior dragster racer to win in funny car. That
I was really surprised when I heard that myself. But when I got that from Cody, which is the
right.
PR guy, who, by the way, does a tremendous job. When I got that from him, I went, really? And then I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, who have been the first-time funny car winners over the course of the last, 6, 7, 10 years? And can't think of a single one of them that was a junior racer. But I had never thought of that. The junior racers had so much success in every other category. It never occurred to me that one of them hadn't won in funny car yet. So that was kind of cool.
It's not called junior funny car, so it makes sense.
Yeah, there you go.
But that was cool. Ty's Connie Coletta, also first person ever to qualify for the Traxxas Shootout, both in Top Fuel and in funny car, 16th to win in both.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, but technically, did he ever qualify in the dragster? I think he won the fan lotto. I don't know that he ever won his way in.
Oh, interesting. I definitely remember misinforming him a couple of years back in Seattle that he had made it. So
yeah, but the field was already full. He was also only the second guy in history to win in both nitro classes back-to-back at the same race. He won Sonoma in Top Fuel last year, won it in funny car this year. And Mark Oswald did that in Englishtown 100 years ago, which that's a Lewis Bloom, really bizarre out in left field stat, but it is, kind of interesting.
That is a good one, yeah. That is that is a good one. Of course, carrying a poster given to him by one of the fans out there, and the Eric Medlin connection, very big. A lot of interesting stuff. While we're talking funny car, rumor mill stories out there about header angle for 2018. Now they're at 32. They're going to be coming back to 40. Originally, they were, 55? So they're going to carve back a little bit of the header angle. What say you on this? I know Tommy Johnson was vehemently against it, as the great driver that we talked about him being. He feels like he's got an edge out there with this situation, and he also now thinks that they're carving back some of that edge.
Yeah, maybe, but and I don't disagree with Tommy. I think he is one of the absolute best once he's got the helmet on and he's inside the race car. I think NHRA looked at everything, and one of the other things about the header angle that nobody really talks about, the farther you lay them back, the shorter their life expectancy is. Because when the headers are pushing down, you can put some bracing in there to kind of help take some of the load off of the header flange. When you lay them so far back that they're pushing more and more forward, the life expectancy of them is really short. And, it's not a big deal for a team like Schumacher, a team like Force, a team like Coletta, but it's a whole lot bigger deal for some of the single-car independents, the Cruz Pedregans of the world and the Tim Wilkersons of the world, if you've got to buy a new set of headers every 8 or 10 runs versus every 25 or 30 runs. I think that may have played a little something into it. But, you know what? It is what it is. At this point, everybody's got plenty of time to use up whatever inventory they got. And if you want to do some testing with the new headers, you can. You know, not all of the teams had them laid back at 32 degrees anyway. So, you know, I think this is just kind of a non-story. I think it's a deal that the cap needed to go someplace, and that's where they decided to put it.
And we only care about, are we going to still see awesome performances? And I've seen some people say, yeah, it's going to be about 100.5. You already told us 30 miles per hour is 14th thou at the top end of the racetrack. What are we going to lose? 2-3 hun?
I don't even know that we're going to lose that. I mean, you know, on the perfect Friday night, Topeka runs, yeah, maybe. Remember, not all of the cars had the headers all the way back at 32 degrees. There's a few of them that had them stood up considerably more than that, and they're still running very well. So I don't think, you know, I think it's a deal that if it hadn't been publicly mentioned, I don't know that anybody would even notice it.
That is a good point. Points battle, Cruz Pedregon holding on to 10th, but Jim Campbell, Johnny Lindbergh, Del Worsham, Alexis DeJoria, all in the mix. So now you have five drivers competing for the 10th spot. I would say JR is safe in 9th with just a couple of races remaining, especially considering it's 1.5 points at Indy. So if Alexis can do what she did in Indy a couple of years back by winning it, she's going to make the countdown.
Well, they need to get a little bit more consistency in that car also. You know, it's been a car that has run very well at times, but they just haven't quite found that Sunday sweet spot yet. Now, you know, whether JR's win will give them a little extra confidence over there, because the Coletta Funny Car teams work together very, very well. A lot of information goes back and forth. You know, there's none of that, you know, no, this is my secret, you can't have it, like you see in some of the other supercar teams. But, you know, with that Funny Car win, you know, potentially putting some confidence into that camp, she might do something. Jim Head still has, you know, not this weekend. This weekend, I think Jim wishes he'd have gone fishing, because for whatever reason, I think his car, 5 times they brought the car to the starting line and Johnny pulled the parachutes once. But the car earlier in the year had been very well. They just were qualifying in a bad spot. You know, they'd make the best losing round of the first round 2 or 3 or 4 races in a row. And, you know, they just had a good car and no Sunday luck. If they can turn that Sunday luck thing around a little bit, I think that's a car that would make me nervous if I'm Cruz Pedregon.
My point is that it's possible for any of them to make it still, and that's what's exciting. And Jim Campbell meets Courtney Force again first round. How crazy is that? 6th time on the season now. Johnny Lindbergh, any one of those teams could be a countdown contender based on the performance that they put forth in these next 3 races: Seattle, Brainerd, Indy. And that's why we do this. It's a pretty cool situation.
Somebody needs to get hot in the next 3 races. It's that simple. And if somebody does, and I'm not saying you got to go win 3 of them, I'm saying you got to go to the semis every week, and that should be enough to get you in. But you've got to start winning rounds on Sunday, and we'll just have to keep an eye on who does that.
Drew Skillman's dream of sweeping the swing goes down at this event to Tanner Gray in the semifinal. Just a tight run. Drew doesn't get down the racetrack. Tanner goes to the final round against Bo. Pro Stock. This is Pro Stock. This is what it's all about. I am almost as if, you know, the complaining and the discussions and all that. Yes, 15 cars, but the cars that are there, thousandth of a second. Tanner beats Bo, 17 light to a 16 light, and just a couple of thousandths of a second. Races don't get better than that final round.
No, Tanner had a pretty good race car all day long. You know, there were a number of the Pro Stock guys and gal that struggled with the track a little bit. Erica had just a terrible weekend, and you know, they had something going on in the car that they didn't figure out until first round, and by then it was too late. But there were a couple of them, you know, there were a couple of sessions where, you know, 3 or 4 or 6 of the Pro Stock cars didn't get in third gear. You know, they were struggling finding a sweet spot on the racetrack. But once Sunday came around, it was a pretty entertaining race, and I just found it really funny. And I said on the microphone that, you know, Tanner Gray just won a race at Sonoma, and he's not old enough to drink the wine that is the tradition in the winter circle. You know, they always have the goblet toast for the winners in the winter circle, and Tanner's not old enough to drink wine. So they put Mellow Yellow in his cup.
There you go. And I think it's good, you know, the idea of Tanner Gray at all, good for the sport. We talked about it at the start of the season. But now for him to get this win, reemerge as big things are on the horizon, That is good. I know he's got a fan base, a growing young fan base that is following this guy, fresh young face. Bo Butner as well. And this is what we need. Fresh faces with big performances getting the job done. And that's exactly what he did.
That's it. There's no question about it. They still say that they're on track. Or goal is to run 3 cars in Indy and have grandfather, father, and son all competing in the same pro category, which has never happened before in NHRA. So that'll be cool. It'll be good to see Johnny back behind the wheel, and it'll just be a fun story to see all 3 of them out there.
Absolutely. Pro stock point standings. Alan Przenski is still within striking distance of Alan Johnson. They are running the full season, but he will need a big swing. He'll have to take advantage of an early round out, go to the semis, like you said, to close it up. Chris McGahey in 9th, still in the danger zone. He's going to have to run the rest of the races. But it's basically 11 cars for 10 spots.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, for Chris, it's just a matter of how many races he's going to run. And the answer to that question is I honestly don't know. I don't know if they were planning on packing up here and going back to Texas or packing up here and going on to Seattle. I guess I'll find out when I get there. And then Brainerd, I'm sure he'll run Indy. But, even if he gets in, I don't know that he's committed to running the 6 races for the countdown to the championship. Maybe at that point he'll decide, why not take a swing at it, especially if they go to Charlotte where they won earlier in the year and have a good start to it. But we'll just have to wait and see.
And that Larry Morgan story, that is interesting. We'll see how that all plays out. But a great event out there, race 2 of the Western Swing. You're going to hear the winners. We got Tanner Gray. We've got J.R. Todd. We've got Ellie Tong. We're going to talk about that shot. Just while we're doing this, I'm getting emails about the Pro Stock Bike Final. And it's just funny how one photograph, what do they say? A picture is worth 1,000 words, even if it isn't necessarily accurate.
Well, I've pretty much said what I have to say on that. I saw the same picture everybody else saw. I think looking at that picture, it certainly looks like Matt's out in front. But, as far as camera angle, distance from the racetrack, all of that stuff, and I've got pretty good faith in the CompuLink system. When you're talking about, the computer said they were only about a half an inch apart, so you don't have to be too far off the perfect line for the photo to look skewed one way or the other.
It's certainly not cut and dry, and if it was instant replay in the NFL, I think it would be inconclusive. So it's certainly not conclusive. The people are saying, oh, yeah, it's crystal clear. It is not crystal clear. Super Stock, Jody Lang, Stock Eliminator, Dwayne, Sheitlin?
Sheitlin, yeah.
Super Comp, Val Torres, a big hitter out there. Evan Kowalski in Super Gas, Chris Borges in Super Street, one of my favorite categories, Keith White, Top Sportsman, Paul Narrow, Top Dragster, and, of course, the Pro Bike Battle, L.E. Tongley. You had some outlaw cars out there as well. I saw one of them almost flip over backwards.
Yeah, they did everything they could to turn the thing over backwards, which was wildly exciting. It would have been wildly exciting better if it hadn't smashed the oil pan and ruined about 20 minutes of our live TV window.
Oh.
But, the guys came out, they put on a show. I think that they were, as everybody has that's been invited to come out and take part this year, the Redemption guys down in Texas, the X275 guys out in Epping. I think they were genuinely surprised that NHRA would treat them the way they did and give them an opportunity to come out and run in front of a pretty big crowd and put on a show with people watching more than just, a bunch of them standing on the starting line, and put on a show they did. So, where this is going to go from here, I don't know. I know we're going to do it another time or two throughout the course of the year, but that was fun. And just for the record, the Val Torres one was Val Jr. His dad also has had a lot of success. His younger brother, Gabe, has as well. As a matter of fact, they raced each other, Val Jr. and Gabe, at one point during the day. Dan Fletcher took 2 cars to Sunday and came away pretty much empty-handed. But it was a good weekend.
Great weekend, great crowd, great weather, all of that. Race 2 of the Western Swing. Next up, Seattle, another part of the country that no other motorsports, few other motorsports. I know unlimited hydroplanes are up there, but as far as like big motorsport, not a lot going up there except for NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing. I'm expecting another big weekend.
I sure hope so. It's supposed to be a little bit warm up there, at least early in the week. Hopefully, it calms down a bit for the weekend, and as long as it's dry, we can do it. Just give us dry.
There you go. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it.
Joe, anytime. Look forward to it. I'll talk to you next week.
There he goes, the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, joins us each week right here on WFO Radio. We'll be calling the action out there in Seattle as well. If you're headed to the race, you are very lucky It is going to be very cool. What a beautiful facility and how far it has come. Years back, it was a one-lane racetrack, no more. And situated beautifully in the forest there. It is awesome. It is totally a bucket list track. Then again, they all are in their own way. Now, we have got everybody on this show. I said we were looking for Steve. We got him. We got Steve Torrance. He's up next. We got J.R. Todd. We've got Tanner Gray. We have got L.E. Tonglet. We have got Candida Benson, all on the show. Plus, Cade Poe, Junior Dragster Racer, going to be on the show. They're all going to be on the show, and at the very tail end, my time, I'm going to talk about a couple of things, including the timing system and stuff that's going down out there in the NHRA. Going down, either way. But right now, I want to tell you about Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School and the Dragster Adventure. FrankHawley.com. Look, here's the deal. First of all, longtime WFO radio sponsors. They know I'm on here trying to convince you, telling you, letting you know this is going to be one of the most fun things you've ever done in your life. You'll remember it forever. Get it as a gift. Christmas is coming. Start planning ahead. Your clients, your employees, your best customers, however you want to do it, FrankHawley.com. Dragster Adventure. It travels the country. Think about you guys going out there as a group, racing against each other, making 3 runs down the track, a half track, and 2 full track passes. 0 to 130 miles an hour. My goodness, it sounds so much fun. FrankHawley.com. You got to check it out. Frank has done a great job creating a program that allows people who enjoy drag racing to also get behind the wheel and participate. And you never know. You might become the next hot racer on the tour if the bug bites you enough. The Dragster Adventure, FrankHawley.com. When we come back, Steve Torrance will join us after this.
It ain't just wide open, it's WFO.
The dog days of summer, and boy, is it hot. But let me tell you, I love starting every day off with a little Rodax coffee and grills.com. That's right, Marvin Rodak and his gourmet coffee right from Texas. The WFO Radio Blend, the Bang the Blower. Over 40 single original coffees to choose from that are all roasted fresh per your order. They've got the Kopi Luwak, the exotics. They represent the top 5% of coffee grown throughout the world. He's been doing it since 1976, and he is sitting there right next to the phone right now waiting for your call. 817-924-6821. I love it. It's great stuff. You should definitely give it a try. And if you're grilling on the weekends, try some A26 award-winning spice rub. Try some of the Habanero Endorphin Booster hot sauce and the other 3 great blends of hot sauce Marvin's got. He's got coffee wood. He's got recipes and tips for grilling. Check out the website, RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. But most importantly, give him a call, 817-924-6821 for RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Hey, this is Joe Costello, and we'll be back to the show in a second. But first, I want to tell you about CompetitionPlus.com. There's a reason CompetitionPlus.com is the leader among drag racing electronic magazines. Their trained staff is always on alert and always asking the tough questions. The end result is hard-hitting drag racing journalism with up-to-the-minute reporting. For over a decade, CompetitionPlus.com has been a pioneer as drag racing's go-to source for the latest in news, race coverage, and high-quality photography. Their trained staff thrives on getting the inside stories, and their columnists study their topics before they hit their first keystroke. When it comes to covering the races, they leave you feeling as if you've actually been to the race. CompetitionPlus.com is an honest-to-goodness, free drag racing magazine published by the most passionate of drag racing fans, who just happen to be journalists. Don't wonder what's going on in the drag racing world. Be in the know daily. Log on to CompetitionPlus.com.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Time to get into it with the winners from the Toyota Sonoma NHRA Nationals. Out there, packed house. It was great. Everybody that was there said it was great. And we have the top fuel winner. He's back. This guy is like co-host of the show this year, Steve Torrance. What's up, Steve-O?
What's happening, Joe? Glad to be back, man.
Now, let's review your buddy Antron Brown's performance on Top Gear America. Did you get a chance to see that?
You know, actually, I missed it. We were too busy celebrating. But he and I and his wife went wine tasting yesterday. And we cut up, we laughed, we had a good time. And I'm going to try to catch that later, and see what was going on. But how about that guy? He's made the transition from being a drag racer. Now he's a TV host.
Superstar. He did a great job. It was great. You definitely are going to enjoy it. And I just thought, wow, what a day for NHRA drag racing. Got Antron and Steve in the final round, and it's like a battle. We saw you guys squaring off on the TV show. Then Antron's on BBC America carrying the flag for drag racing. But in the end, though, as much as you guys are great friends, the rivalry heats up now. You are clawing some numbers back, and you've got quite the streak. 6 wins in one season, Steve. This is a major player, the Capco team.
You know, it's been a dream season thus far. Everything has just been unbelievable. It's going our way every time we need it to. And I think that, I would say that some of that's luck, but I think that you make your luck as well. And the way that Richard Hogan and Bobby Ligon have had this car running, it's been on a string, and you go up there, and the guy that's racing you knows that they got to be on their A game to beat us, and so you kind of create some of that luck, and you push that opponent, whether it's Antron or Doug Coletta or the next guy, you push them to the point where either they make a perfect lap to beat us, or they stump their toe against us. And I said this here not too long ago. I mean, I've been on the other side of this way more than what we're having right now, and I've been on the point where we had to step our game up to beat somebody, and it would force us into mistakes, and it's very gratifying, very humbling, and just really pretty badass to be on this side of the fence where those guys are trying to beat us.
Just some numbers that's sticking out in my mind is, a 6th win of the year, 8 final rounds, 3 of the last 4, and I feel like that's been the case all year. 3 of the last 4 races has involved Steve Torrance. If you've been in 8 final rounds, it kind of makes a sense. This has been the Capco team's year. You've got 14 career wins, 6 coming, almost half coming this year. Those are stunning numbers.
Yeah, it really is. Last year, I think that this was our 8th final for the season. Last year we went to 8 finals and we only won 3. So we've definitely improved on that record there of going to the final round, and that's a big deal for us is getting to the final. But once you're there, being able to seal the deal and just close it, and the way that the car's running, the way that the guys are just everybody's pulling together. There's no mistakes, and I mean you got to knock on wood when you say that, because these guys they're spot on every time. They make the right decisions, and we just do just what it takes to win. It's confidence is at an all-time high with every one of the members, myself, everybody. We go out there, we do our jobs. I think that you can watch not only my expression, but the guys on the team when we go to the starting line. I mean, I watched some of the race coverage the other day, and it looks like a band of just outlaws coming together, going into like an OK Corral fight. I mean, these guys are expressionless, intense, and just focused on what we're there to do, and that's the only thing on their minds.
And to celebrate when they win, they still enjoy every bit of it. Let's talk about your day in that. This is not easy. Troy Coughlin Jr., first round, Coletta Motorsports car, your 055, 375. You turn on the win light and earn yourself a shot at Doug Coletta. So back-to-back Coletta Motorsports cars against Doug, your 045. You picked it up, 376, and you dispatched both of them.
Anytime you race just a single Coletta car, I mean, it's a tough the deal. And then when you get two of them back to back, I mean, I think, heck, the the odds of getting by two of them is significantly less than one of them. And Doug Kalita is I mean, their car's coming around. You know, they've struggled a little bit, and it's not indicative of what they're capable of over there. And you got to stay on top of those guys, because Jim O and Doug and everybody over there is championship caliber and capable of taking you out anytime, anywhere. So, you know, you'd never take those guys lightly, and you bring your A game. And I knew that Doug would be on the tree, so I just was up there, and you try the same every time, but some of them you're just a little more jacked up for.
Well, it's somewhere inside the nerves of your body, you know, the system in there. I'm sure there's a couple of foul. One run, you know, you're hungry, you're not hungry, you got more adrenaline, you don't have more adrenaline. Like, who knows? The idea you guys are as consistent as you are is amazing. Semi-final round, Brittany Force, you're 066, 375, and I'm wondering, I read a comment about your car being a single-car team, and I have been referring to you as a single-car team, even though there was a period where Alan Johnson was consulting on both cars. What is the status now? Do you consider yourself quasi-connected or not connected at all? What is the status when you guys roll to the starting line against each other?
We're both single-car teams. I mean, last year Alan was a consultant with us and worked really hand-in-hand with Richard, and we opted not to do that this year. We still have a working relationship. I think that Richard and AJ still talk. We don't share data anymore. I think at the end of the day, it kind of was a conflict of interest with some of the situations, and you got two different. It's difficult to have one man in between two race cars, and one does better than the other. There's always going to be questioning and why this and why that. So we're not doing that this year, but we still kind of work together. We just don't get tuning help or tuning advice or anything from AJ, but you still are able to know what each other did.
Got it. Well,
that's a tricky question to say, because a lot of these crew chiefs talk amongst themselves anyway. So it's still that relationship. We're just not sharing all of our run data with each other this year.
And I appreciate you clarifying that, because I see the shirts and the logos and wondering, I've heard some things. And the way I look at it is that you used his consulting to get on track with your guys who are very capable, and now they've got it.
That's exactly the case. That's what we did. We were just a little bit off in a few things that we needed that we hadn't been able to figure out, and we were able to do that throughout the year last year, and kind of went on our own this year.
Final round, you and Antron. Antron gets there, taking down Terry McMillan, Scott Palmer, which Scott and Antron have been just beating on each other the past couple of weeks. And then now you're getting ready for a final round against your buddy, but he is the back-to-back reigning champ and the best guy out there right now, and you're trying to wrestle that away from him. There has got to be no better feeling in sport. There's got to be no better feeling than knowing that you got a chance to go up and prove yourself that way and then do it.
I've raced Antron 25, 26 times or something now.
26.
And that record is that thing's a little skewed. There's been some different situations here and there, but at the end of the day, we've got a really good race car right now, and the biggest part of that as a driver is mental. And I've gone up there and been able to just go up there and stay focused, stay relaxed, and stay calm and race him. I mean, the guy bad is when you're capable of beating the baddest, and Antron Brown is the baddest. So I put that guy right there at the top, and if you're going to win a championship, that's who you're going to have to beat. That's just how I see it. That's the way that the cards are stacked right now, and we've been able to go head-to-head, and I don't know the whole deal, but the last few races I know that I've either left right with him or ahead of him on the tree, and that's a mental thing. That's completely in your head, and just going up there and staying calm and doing your job and keeping focused on the target.
It is amazing to watch, and again, that record 4-22 is very skewed because that includes a time where you guys are ramping up a single-car family team. You're ramping it up. It's tough to beat Don Schumacher Racing, and let's face it, one of the greatest drivers of all time.
Yeah, it really is, and I mean that's where he's established himself as one of the best ever. So if you want to be the guy walking off the stage at the end of the year with that trophy, you're going to have to beat him. You're going to have to beat Tony Schumacher. You're going to have to beat those guys that are multiple time champions. And you know, right now I've got the confidence that myself and my team can do it.
And I think you're growing your fan base too. I think there are a lot of people out there who thought there's never going to be another single car team that's going to be able to come in and beat these super teams. And now we're in a new era of super teams, and maybe I'm not that interested in drag racing if that's going to be the case. But you're proving that wrong.
And you know, you're spot on with that, because I have so many people that come up that at some point in time maybe weren't a fan or, you know, just didn't really pay much attention, but it's just we're the little guy out there fighting the big guys and winning, and that's always the story that everybody wants to see, you know, is the guy that they said couldn't do it shows up and does it. So I've had so much support and so many people just rally around us and cheer for us and root for us, and I can't thank all of those fans enough, because they come over and they're tired of seeing Schumacher win. They're tired of seeing the Coletta cars win. They just want to see an independent do it, and you know, it's kind of a little Cinderella story. It gives hope to everybody. So I'm very blessed and thankful to be part of it and representing it.
That is great to hear. All right, headed to Seattle this weekend. I'm mentioning every interview, I'm talking to the drivers about the crowd, because it just feels like everywhere we're going now, whether it be the Mile Highs, now the Toyota Sonoma Nationals, the pits are packed, not a lot of room for additional people. It seems like this is a hot ticket right now, and I know we're going to a place where we're very popular, Seattle.
The last two races have been packed out. There's been so many people in the stands, and when you wheel into a place like Sonoma, and the stands are just so massive, and you're sitting there in the burnout box, and they're about to start the car up, and you look up, and there's not an open seat in the house, and there's people standing at the fence. That's what we go there for. We go there. NHRA drag racing is the most badass raw form of entertainment that there is. You just got to get out there and experience it and see it and hear it and smell it. And, you know, people are catching on. People are realizing what our sport has to offer. And, you know, I think that it's attracting a lot of fans, and it's growing exponentially.
I totally agree. And here we are, crunch time, though. Seattle, little tiny break. Brainerd, extremely short break. Indy, and the countdown now is crunch time, as they say.
It is, you know, and it's the time is changing. The year is going back, and we're getting some of these cooler racetracks, cooler conditions where you get to go, you know, mid-60s, high 60s, and really stand on it. And we're in that transition where we've got to go from that hot weather tune-up back to that tune-up that we had at the first of the year, and it took us a little bit of time to gather that up, and we're still refining that. But I think that, you know, in these next few races, you'll see some of that transition for a few of these races, and then the ones, you know, the last couple at the end. Dallas is typically hot, but you're going to have some throwdown conditions in Redding, and just you're going to have to adapt your tune-up.
Well, we have that schedule swap with Dallas and Redding and those guys. Hopefully no rain at Redding, and hopefully a little cooler in Dallas will be a great benefit. Now, I understand, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Mama Kay told me this, that Billy will be out at some point this year, perhaps the U.S. Nationals and some of the countdown.
I don't think that we're going to have him out at Indy, but we'll for sure have him out in the countdown. We're looking at possibly the last 3 or 4, Dallas, Vegas, Pomona, somewhere in there. We're going to bring him out. He has a great time driving the race car, and it's always a blast for me to be able to just race with my dad. So we've done this as a family. Everybody, that's Big Billy and Mama Kay, to everybody on the team. So we look forward to it. We're enjoying it. We're geared up, ready to go, and hopefully work will continue like it's going, and we'll we'll get him out there and have some good time racing together, have 2 of those Capco cars.
Well, that is a question, and just wondering how you think about that. Is that going to be extra responsibility for the crew guys, or is that going to be more data that is helpful to you?
It'll be more data that's helpful to us. We've already set up a team to go over there, and Walt Brisbane and Dom Lagana will tune it, and it'll be a self-sufficient, solely contained on its own, share data, share information, and just have a second car for the countdown.
Wow, okay, very good. I was wondering about that, like manpower and chemistry, and it sounds like you guys have got that figured out.
We've got it figured out, and I can't thank the Laganas enough. Those guys are brothers to me, and are the lifeblood of this race team. I mean, those guys do everything, and each and every guy on the team does. I mean, they sacrifice and give up a lot of their lives to be out there racing with us, and that's just how tight-knit and close this team is. The
Laganas, no, it is a fact. You can see it. If you ever have any question, you see them the way they handle themselves in the pits, on the starting line. They've made it in the world of NHRA drag racing. It's good that you guys are so reliant upon them, because they've got a lot of people that have been with them their whole lives waiting for this moment, and here it is. That is great stuff. Steve, congratulations. Thank you for coming on WFO Radio and sharing the victory with us. I know our listeners love it, and I know you're making time on your way up to Seattle. I greatly appreciate that, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks a lot, Joe, and hopefully I'll get to talk to you again pretty soon.
Just like that, like I said, co-host. Now, in the next one, though, we might have to open up to questions from the audience. Would you be okay with that?
I would be completely open to that.
All right. Next time you win, we're going to tell the audience, submit the questions for Steve Torrance, email, some calls in, whatever, and I'll play them for you, and you can deal with the WFO universe.
Sounds good. Thanks, brother.
Steve Torrance with us here on WFO Radio. All right. So if Steve wins again, and that could happen this weekend, you know the deal. Joe at WFOradio.com. Your email questions if he wins. If he wins, after 6 wins, it would be 7 wins. There will be another one, and we'll put the questions to him. That's what we do here on WFO Radio. Harv sends me an email, says the winner's editions are stale, but he loved the Pro Stock shows. And so, what are you going to do? I get all kinds of email, all kinds of feedback. It is true. We end up talking to a lot of the same people over and over again because they win on a regular basis. And what am I going to do? You win your way on WFO. That's the deal. Just like on EV3 Drag Racing, you win your way on WFO Radio. Now, we've got J.R. Todd, we've got Ellie Tonglet, we've got Tanner Gray, NHRA National Dragsters Candida Benson going to be on the show, Cade Poe, Junior Dragster Racer, and I love the fact that Doug Gordon is programming the show. Hey, Joe, here's a great idea. Love that. Love that. Need that. More of that, please. It's all happening here on WFO Radio. I want to tell you about RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com, though. Marvin Rodak. Open a browser, go to RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com, and check out all the cool stuff that they've got. He's been doing it since 1976, and the listeners are tweeting photographs of packages that are arriving in the mail from Rodax. And it is so awesome because the coffee is great, the hot sauce is great, the spice rub is great. They've got all kinds of stuff in grills. You can purchase grills there. They're located in Fort Worth, Texas. 817-924-6821. Call Marvin. The website's up there. Talk to him about what you like. This is going to change your life, folks. It's really going to be a great benefit to you. I know a lot of people, they just get coffee because they've got to get coffee. And then there are people who really want to do it right. They want to enjoy themselves. Those are the people who shop at Rodax. RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. You will love it. Tell Marvin we said hello. Tell him you heard it on WFO Radio. And if you're going to be in the area, the Thursday of the AAA Texas Fall Nationals, it is now time to start RSVPing that you're going to be there. Are you going to be there? You come to Rodax, 6 to 10, Thursday night, after the day one Hardcore Thursday of the Texas Motorplex. Is that you? Are you going to be out there? We want to hear from you. Email me, RSVP, Joe at WFOradio.com, or tell Marvin so we can get a good idea how many thousands of people are going to be coming, or how many people, like 10 of us. Either way, it's going to be great. RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. J.R. Todd is next.
Everybody, listen carefully.
Now you listen to me. Why do you listen? WFO, you guys are number one.
Honest. Listen.
So you love cars. You're a bracket racer. You got a hot rod. You love working on your cars. and you need parts. Every once in a while you need something and you got to ship it in. Well, Racer Supply Store is going to give you 5% with the promo code WFO Radio. Online, to your door, competitive pricing, all major brands. Check them out. RacerSupplyStore.com. Doug and George, frankly, they're personal friends from way back in the day. Southeastern Florida, great racers, been involved in the biz, many levels, EFI. They know everything. RacerSupplyStore.com. And they understand it's a tough biz out there. They want you to try them out once. Try the product, try the service, go to the website, RacerSupplyStore.com, and get 5% off for using the promo code WFO Radio. That's RacerSupplyStore.com. Check them out. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, WFO Universe. Want something for free? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope with plenty of postage, and we'll load it up with free WFO stickers. That's right, I said free. Send your envelope, care of Costello Media /WFO stickers to P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida 33084. Do it now.
If you're looking for extra horsepower, check out WilsonManifolds.com, the leader in intake manifold and nitrous oxide development. They've set records and won championships in just about every series in professional racing. Sprint Cup, Nationwide, Camping World Truck Series, NHRA Pro Stock, right up to the Nitro classes. If you're looking for extra horsepower, check out the leader in intake and nitrous development at WilsonManifolds.com.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
NHRA Nitro, Race 2 of the Western Swing, the Toyota NHRA Sonoma Nationals winner in funny car. Joins us now, J.R. Todd. J.R., congratulations.
Hey, thanks a lot, Joe. It was a pretty wild day for sure.
A lot going on this with this win. The idea that you won at Sonoma back-to-back. Top Fuel a year ago, funny car this year. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's how you want to ride it up for sure. There's definitely some kind of special magic there at Sonoma. I mean, it's a great track, and when you're with a great team like Coletta Motorsports, just goes to show what can happen.
First win of the season for Coletta. That's another just added bonus. There's all kinds of extra things on top of this win.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely, as a whole, been wanting to win for a while. Just been struggling a little bit with the DHL Toyota Camry, and the thing started to come around in Denver, I think, and go to Sonoma, a great track at sea level and get the right conditions. And, thing ran pretty good all weekend long. I think we're definitely going in the right direction with the performance. And what better place to break through than there in Sonoma? A great crowd, and Eric Medlin, a lot of history there with him, and to be able to win with his mom there again, that was pretty cool.
And you had a poster on you all day long, 2 years in a row, and there's something there. People believe different stuff. I don't know what it is, but when I see things like this, it definitely makes me think, this is not just random coincidence.
I would like to think that, but yeah, there's definitely different signs, people helping you out like that. And, I'm pretty sure he had a hand in that. And his mom once again came over with that poster Saturday night and asked me if I would put it in my suit on Sunday. So we had it in there for all 4 rounds, and it definitely worked out. So I think him and Scott had a hand in that for sure.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Everybody chooses to believe whatever they want to believe, and I would like to think there is something going on there. That is me. 16th person to win in Top Fuel and in Funny Car. That puts you on a unique list.
Yeah, that's it's pretty wild to look back and see, the people that you're on that list with. I got a call from Dale Worsham yesterday congratulating me, and I think he was the last guy to do it before us. And a lot of my heroes on that list, so to be mentioned with them, it's pretty incredible.
Let's do a little round-by-round discussion. First round, obviously, Alexis. You don't want that to happen after qualifying, but those are the breaks. And, wow, what a race. 95s both on the board. You left first. You won the race. That was a tough one.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to race your teammate first round. That's that's on both of us. Need to qualify a little better so we're not racing each other that early in the day. But yeah, it goes to show that both cars, the performance is coming around. I mean, they ran the exact same ET their first round, and we were fortunate enough to get by her and Nikki and Tommy. I mean, they're tough guys to race, and hopefully they can get in the top 10. We can both run for a championship there later this year.
Certainly possible with that 1.5 points at Indy. Second round, John Force going up against John, and we talked about it earlier this year. This is a great benefit of being in funny car. You get to go up against what many consider the greatest of all time, John Force, and in this case, beat him.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, that's somebody that I've looked up to since I got my start racing junior dragsters, and I definitely wanted to beat him. He's a tough guy to race, and when that win light came on, I'm like, oh man, this could be our day now, and it's something I'll never forget racing him for the first time.
Semifinal against Beckman, and everyone wants to know what you have to say about this run. This run was crazy. We have seen some things like this in the past, and who knows what was going on in the other lane, whether they shut him down or it was pan pressure or otherwise, but you didn't give up. Alan Reinhart told us that you relayed a story that this moment was on your mind, kind of like burning into you early in the year. You tell us, how did this link up to a run earlier in the year?
We smoked the tires like that in Englishtown first round, and I just idled down the track. And Robert was in the lane next to us, and he's dropping cylinders and not making a good run. So it's like, why don't you get back on the gas and not give up? So, I've been told from day one, don't give up until you see the other car across the finish line. So going back to that moment, I mean, Beckman's over there struggling. And then I see his car shut off. I'm like, well, we got a chance to run him down. So I was already back on the gas. I just didn't think that we had enough room to get by him. And it was probably 10 feet or less there at the finish line. It definitely was a wild and crazy run, but that's why you can't give up on Sunday for sure.
And you never see the speed of these cars better than in a moment like that. How much power you have to make up that kind of ground so rapidly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened to his car, whether they shut him off or the pan pressure switch shut it off. But, that's a hopeless feeling for him. I've been in that position before where you can't do anything about it, and you just hope the person doesn't go flying by you. And like I said, I didn't think we had enough real estate to get by him, but these, fuel funny cars and top fuel cars, they cover a lot of ground pretty quick, and that was a good example there.
Final round against Wilk. Obviously, it's going to be a fan favorite, and he looked like he was out on you a little bit, and then smoked the tire, so very aggressive.
Yeah, he had some sort of issue there in the final. I mean, we told ourselves we just needed to go down the track, and if he was going to outrun us, then he'd had the trophy. But yeah, Wilkerson, he's right in front of us in points, and I think he was in front of us all day long. So you see him turn on win line, it's like, damn, we need to keep winning just to stay with him to try and go around him there in the top 10 in points. But we each did good, kind of separating ourselves from everybody behind us, working on getting in the top 10. So it was a good day for Timmy and I, and we were fortunate enough to get by him there in the final round.
Yeah, the points battle in funny car for the 10th spot. You have separated yourself. Cruz, Jim Campbell, Johnny Lindbergh, Dell, Alexis, all with an opportunity at that 10th spot. It is going to be a bare-knuckle battle. Your crew chief, Jono, was really pumping you up all weekend long. And I want to, we talked to you at the start of the season, and I've had conversations with you throughout the season about the learning curve and the funny car and the headers, and it felt like there were times where you were maybe a little down, but these guys look like they have confidence in you, and were very vocal about it, and it all came together this weekend.
Yeah, they've definitely been patient, and there's times this year I feel like that we didn't get down the track because I didn't do a good job, getting the car down the track. So it was nice to win for these guys because they know how to win. They're a championship winning team, and they definitely keep you pumped up for sure. I mean, they never get down, and I definitely get down on myself more than they ever do. So nice to have guys like that have your back and support you and be able to reward them with a trophy at the end of the day. That's what it's all about.
You tied Connie Coletta with wins. That's crazy.
That's a cool stat. I didn't know that until I think it was Cody, my PR guy, told me there on Sunday after the race that we did that. So to be able to tie the boss, man, that's a pretty awesome stat.
Big stat. He does have, that is a huge stat. Now, Cody, speaking of Cody, he gave me a couple others. I'm interested to hear what you think about a couple of them. First junior dragster racer to win in funny car. That blew my mind.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That just goes to show what, junior dragster series can do for kids. I mean, grew up watching funny cars and top fuel cars while racing my junior dragster. Never thought that you'd be at that level one day, but it's living out a dream for sure. So to be able to be the first one to do that, that's pretty awesome.
And this one I want your opinion on as well. First African American to win in funny car. I know in NHRA drag racing we've been diversified with women winning and African Americans win for a long time. So it's kind of, it's kind of like old news to people within the sport, but on the outside of the sport, there are other motorsports that are searching desperately for diversity. How do you feel about that milestone?
It's cool. It's good for drag racing. I mean, it shows that, like you said, we're definitely not lacking in that department, and it's definitely made some headlines. But like I said Sunday, I mean, when I have my helmet on, people don't know if I'm black, white, or purple, or male or female. Just going out there and trying to win races. But it's cool at the end of the day to be able to say that you're the first one to do that. But like I said, it's not that trying to break down barriers in our sport, because I don't believe that drag racing has any barriers like that. Where other forms of motorsport, they're dying for things like that to happen. And drag racing, I mean, it's been open like that since going back, the 60s and 70s. So it's nothing new for us, but at the same time, another cool stat, I suppose.
Well, exactly. I think that's one of the great benefits. It's one of the reasons I like this motorsport, because there are no barriers and people don't think about such things, as best as I can tell. Reg Kenny in the house, Scott's car, DHL, and getting that first win is off your back. How great a feeling is that, to know that you can now it's almost like you can begin now because you got to win.
Yeah, it definitely makes me feel more comfortable, especially with our position in the points. I mean, I knew that it was only a matter of time before we would win. Like I said, these guys, they know how to win. They had a great driver before with Delvers and winning races, and I just didn't want to be the guy that was the weak link on why we couldn't win. So it was cool to finally do that. We had Reg there this weekend, like you said, but he left. He left on Sunday, so he wasn't there to celebrate with us. So we need to win again with him in the house, and it's awesome to have his support and DHL and all of our great sponsors. We had a lot of them there this weekend in Sonoma, so it was good to win in front of them, especially Toyota with them sponsoring the event.
Yes, and a vicious mosh pit, like one for all times. It was like the mosh pit was as high as a human body. Like it was like 6 feet tall of mosh pit.
Yeah, man, we got a lot of new guys between all of our 5 cars there. So a lot of new guys got thrown in that mosh pit. I heard it was pretty large on the starting line. I'm lucky that I'm at the finish line when that's going on.
Yes, no, it was huge. And I am happy to report that you, for real this time, are in the Traxxas Nitro Shootout. I know I misinformed you once before. This time's real.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ever locked into the shootout. So that was cool to finally do that. And I still remember you telling me that a couple of years ago. So, yeah, it was cool to check that off the list. And we'll go race for $100,000 there in my hometown and hopefully get it done.
Yeah, there you have it. JR, congratulations. Great win. It's been fun watching you go through this. I like seeing people take on challenges and how they do, and you've done well and only going to get better now that your confidence is up and back and just at the right time, too. Got Seattle this weekend. It looked like we had a packed house out there in Sonoma, like great crowd. Seattle this weekend, and then Brainerd and Indy. We are there. It is time.
Yeah, it's definitely that time of the year where you, start making moves and get your stuff running right. So, like I said, I think we're going in the right direction. Seattle, it's going to be hot this weekend, so that could be another, equalizer and, play into our favor. And we're definitely, hopefully, going in the right direction and start peaking there around countdown time and get on a roll like these guys did 2 years ago.
Absolutely. Todd Smith, of course, Jono, the entire team, the Yellow Fellas. What do you like? Do you like that name, the Yellow Fellas?
Yeah, that name was there before I got here, and it's definitely stuck. So I love racing with those guys. A lot of young guys that are hungry to win, and they have a lot of fun, win or lose. So they know how to win and how to race, and I'm just a lucky one that gets to drive the car. And Jono and Todd, they've been working hard on getting this thing to go in the right direction, and I think we're there.
There you go. JR, congratulations. Hey, go get another one this weekend so we can talk again next week.
Sounds good to me, buddy.
All right, JR. Safe travels. Have fun this weekend. Congratulations on your first win in Funny Car with the DHL team. All of these historic first to be in the Tracks Shootout in Funny Car and Top Fuel. All of these historic first. Ty and Connie Coletta, very, very cool. Huge win. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Joe. I appreciate it.
J.R. Todd with us here on WFO. Huge win. J.R., one of the guys out there, very popular in the pits with the racers. The guy gets the job done now out there. And it's funny, this is what it took. He figured out Funny Car. And I think there's more wins to come. Personal opinion. And it's good to see the DHL Toyota Camry out there getting the job done. Time to switch to the Pro Stock categories. We got Tanner Gray. We got Ellie Tonglet. We've got Junior Dragster racer Cade Poe after those Eastern Conference Finals at the tail end of the show during my time. I'm also going to talk about the credibility of the timing equipment and how it's important. Going to talk about that at the tail end of the show, among other things. Want everybody to know that big things happening in the world of NHRA drag racing. WFO is there. We've got all the news and information, all kinds of stuff that happens in our own unique blend. Hopefully you will click subscribe or download the SoundCloud app. I had a guy say, Joe, don't take it the wrong way, but I don't care anything about NASCAR at all. I don't even want to hear anything about NASCAR. I'm adverse to NASCAR. Which I understand there are drag racers that are, and there are NASCAR fans that are. I personally like everything with wheels and engine and a driver, especially Formula One, NASCAR. I've got a large carryover audience from my days on satellite radio. And so we have one feed with our Ignition show, which is drag racing, along with NASCAR and entertainment. It's a lot of people say it's really fun. You might not, but last week's show is a great example, by the way. Go listen to last week's show. We talked about whether the Phelps versus Shark was the greatest television disappointment since Geraldo Rivera in Al Capone's Vaults. Now, where else are you going to hear that conversation, honestly, people? Where else are you going to hear that conversation? You're not going to hear it anywhere. Only on WFO Radio. WFO Radio is high-level entertainment, but I also know that we got a lot of very serious-minded people out there. They're about, compression and nuts and bolts and the humor. They don't like humor. They're against humor. They're not against humor. But if you don't want to hear everything in the show, you can go to the SoundCloud app. You can go to the WFOradio.com. You can just press play. You don't have to get the whole feed. I recommend you get the whole feed because that's how you keep up with a true inside information. You hear everybody, you hear Dan Fletcher coming at you. Maybe you miss it on the show, comes back at you again. Great stuff. And thanks to all of our listeners. But the process, how they get the show. There's a million ways to do it. All right, we got more to come here on WFO Radio. I already told you about Frank Hawley and Marvin Rodak. I want to tell you about the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, samtech.edu. Start your education at full speed, and I'm already getting ready for the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown at the U.S. Nationals. It is not that far away. Feels like a long time since we heard from our great friend Brian Massengill, and I think he's going to be at that one. I'm pretty sure of it. It's going to be awesome. And will they crack the sevens? That is the question mark. And they'll be also out there at Gateway. But in addition to blockhead and CNC programs, Samtech now offers Motorsport EFI. And can you think of something more pertinent than Motorsport EFI? There's an Associate Applied Science degree. SAM is a military-friendly school. They are approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Here's what you got to do. Go to samtech.edu. It might be for your son or daughter. It might be for yourself. It might be because you want to learn about Motorsport EFI. You want to go and learn from the right people the right way. How many times has someone learned something the wrong way and had to double back? samtech.edu. They will get your education started at full speed. Check them out and tell them you heard about it on WFO. Tanner Gray coming up next.
This is WFO Radio.
Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Whether you're a bracket racer who wants to get better or a thrill seeker looking to cross it off your bucket list, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School can put you on the right track. Don't believe me? Tell him, Frank.
No matter how little or how much experience you have, we've got a program for you. So if driving a dragster is on your bucket list, there's no better time than now. And if you'd like to be a pro, well, here's funny car champ, Jack Beckman.
Hey, this is Jack Beckman. Long before I was Fast Jack, I was a bracket racer who went to the Frank Hawley School. The time I spent there was some of the most exciting, intense, and fulfilling moments ever in a race car. I feel the curriculum Frank developed greatly helped me win not only the Super Comp, but also the NHRA Nitro Funny Car Championship. Frank put me on the right track. What are you waiting for?
Call them at 866-480-7223. That's 866-480-7223. Or visit frankhawley.com.
Get fired up on the WFO line.
WFO, Joe.
954-889-6796.
It's been an absolute joy to be a drag racing fan.
Go wide open, and your call may be used on the show.
Or preface by saying I'm not a Kurt Busch fan or apologist. I don't know where Greg Anderson's ego is gone, but I know one person that's going to be a big-time villain in pro stock.
That's 954-889-6796. That phone line is always WFO.
Drag Racing Edge. That's the magazine. Subscribe online. Get the issues, $24.95. Keep up with your favorite sport, whether it be NHRA Mellow Yellow, Lucas Oil Series action. They cover drag radio. They cover it all. Drag Racing Edge magazine.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
The NHRA Toyota Sonoma Nationals, Race 2 of the Western Swing. Just a great event. Just so much cool stuff going on out there. But Pro Stock, let me tell you, Pro Stock has got it going on. Bo Butner, Tanner Gray, final round, win light. Tanner Gray joins us now. Tanner, welcome back. Third time this season as a winner.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Okay, winning early in the season was about proving that you could win at this level. This is a little different now. Now it's we're down the stretch. Things are getting big. We got the U.S. Nationals. We got the playoffs. It's nice to get a win right before all that chaos is about to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Now it's all about going out there and trying to set yourself up to go into the countdown strong and to have everything figured out for the countdown so you can have a shot at that championship.
So where do you feel you are as a driver? Just, confidence level, you're winning. So I would imagine you feel really good about that. But I also know that Dave Connolly and your dad Shane and Johnny aren't going to let you get too comfortable.
Right. Yeah. I'm a really competitive guy, and it's not too hard to keep me motivated to win and stuff like that. The only reason I show up to the racetrack is to win. I can't stand it when people are just out there for to call themselves a race car driver or whatever. I think it's if you're going to show up to a racetrack, you better have the mindset you're going to win, and that's the way I show up there every weekend. And I know my guys have the same mindset, so it makes it really really fun and nice to show up there having a group of guys that are confident and all are confident in me, and I'm confident in them, and I think we just work really well together.
First round, you have to go up against Alan Przinsky. He is fighting, clawing for that 10th spot, has a shot, and you unleash an 18 reaction time on him and a 55.6, so a very strong run in first round, bringing a big hammer to set up a second-round matchup against Jason Line.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought I was dead late against Alan for whatever reason. I just felt like I didn't really see the tree that well, and I put it off in high gear and looked over and didn't see him there. So, that was definitely a good round to win. I was pretty nervous going into that one. I hate first round. I can't stand going up there. The first round you get those jitters and everything, and then after that, you can start, racing and feeling comfortable about going up there.
It's interesting to hear you say that, having done some bracket racing myself and just talking to racers, everybody hates first round. Everybody hates it because you could just go home and the whole thing is for nothing. You come out of, sprint cars and circle track and go-karts, very fast go-karts. Is there anything that compares to first round? When you're lining up to take a green flag, you could get taken out, but really you don't ever expect there not to be a second lap, which is basically what we're talking about. One and done if you lose first round.
Yeah, the only thing I can kind of compare it to is qualifying, and it's not even really the same as that. Just qualifying in a circle track race, you're nervous because you want to set yourself up to have a shot to win, that night. So, first round, you go up there and you mess up and make one little mistake, you're going home. And that's the thing that's so tough about drag racing is, circle track racing, you can afford to, miss your mark getting into the corner or get loose coming off or whatever the case might be. But, in a drag race, you miss the tree a little bit or not shift on time or just, spin the tires too much, whatever the case might be. It's a good chance you're going home, especially with the caliber of field we got out in Pro Stock right now. There's been 9 different winners already this season, so it's kind of crazy.
It is crazy and good. It's crazy good. Second round, you got to go up against Jason Line, and I notice you guys are always talking at each other, but it's obviously friendly and fun. In fact, we had some fun down there at the top end. I think it was Norwalk, where you guys battling each other, and to me, it's exactly the kind of respectful competition, but with a little sarcasm and some snark, and you obviously love beating each other when it happens. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Jason. I know you're young and he's old, but what about, as competitors?
Yeah, no, I love Jason. He's a great guy. I've known him since I was 10 years old. It's kind of funny. This whole thing kind of started in Pomona, my first race. In 2014 or 15, I believe it was, he raced Drew Skillman in the final at Pomona, and I went to Jason and told him he had to beat Drew because I was going to be the first one to win my first race ever. And he beat Drew in the final and whatnot, and then, it comes around to my first race ever, and I raced Jason second round, and he beats me. So, it all kind of started from there, but he's a great guy. We talk quite a bit throughout the week, and, I'm actually getting ready. I'm building his kid a go-kart to get him started running some circle track stuff, and I'm going to help his kid out there, and, kind of do that. Me and him have a great relationship, and he's got a great family, so I really enjoy getting to race him and having fun with him.
And especially when it comes out with you have a 17 reaction time and he's 44, and you drive away.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I knew I hit the tree pretty good, but I put it off in high gear and looked over there, and I didn't see him there, and I was like, man, we must have got him pretty good there. So, and I definitely made sure that he knew that at the end of the track. So
that's awesome.
It's always good fun, though.
Well, and it's good, and I can tell you as a third party who is interested in getting more people interested in the category, that's what we need. We need the fun, but poking each other with little barbs respectfully and not having to worry about it turning into something else. You can tell you guys got it, and it is a lot of fun. And the guy's a champ, multi-time over, so he's going to come back at you. Semifinal, Drew Skillman. So it's got to be tough when you know everything under the hood of the car in the other lane is as good as what you got.
Yeah, those guys have been on a roll lately. That thing has been on a string. That thing's a dang bracket car over there. I think it buried a thou in Denver up on the mountain. And then, they come here and put it on the pole, and they were making good runs with it all day. And, going up there, I knew I was going to have to be good on the tree. And, I let go, and I thought I was really good and put it in high gear. And he wasn't over there. And I'm pretty thankful he took, because if they would have made another run, that would have ended our day. He was 22 to my 36 or 34 or something like that. And I was kind of shocked at that one, because I thought I'd hit the tree a lot better than I did. So, I was definitely pretty thankful for them making a bad run over there.
And the final round, Bo Butner, and he has been, you said there's 9 different winners, and there are, and who's the 3 race wins for the leader, which is now you and Bo, but he has been really strong. So to be able to get one in on him, and such a close race. You're 17 light to his 16. You run a 57 with a 2. He runs a 57 with a 7. So 4th thou.
Yeah, it used to not be as critical lining up against Bo on the starting line, but he definitely stepped it up this year compared to last year, and even from the first part of the season. He's been killing the tree, and he's been doing a really good job. So I knew going up there that I was going to have to be good, and let go. Thought I was pretty good, and went down through there and put it in the high gear and looked over and saw him right there, and I was like, man, I think he got us. And went through the finish line and saw my light was on. I was like, man, that had to be pretty close. So, that was a really good race. It was a fun race. I'm thankful my guys gave me a good car, because, like I said, if it would have been a little bit closer, we may not have had it. So, my guys really kind of carried me through the day and made me look a lot better than I was. So, really thankful for them and for everybody that was a part of it.
So another win, a big win, but you couldn't drink the wine, Tanner.
Yeah, I'm not much of a wine drinker anyway. It's all right.
There you go. Yeah, it comes later in life. It is. It's a later in life kind of thing. Acquired taste, as they say. What has it been like for you to become, now you're on TV winning races. So known race car driver. Are people recognizing you? How has that part of your life been now that, you're on the scene?
It kind of hasn't really changed. I mainly stay out at the racetracks. So everybody out there kind of knows who you are, but not from that aspect, just from racing with them. And not much has really changed there. Still just living a normal life and getting to do what I love on the weekends and having fun with it.
And we've asked you in the past, Pro Stock, why you love Pro Stock, what you love about Pro Stock, and you've been very, open and honest. You love the category right now as it is, but you also know that there's all kinds of rumors and discussion and stories. Certainly we've had a lot here on our show about, what fans want to see and what they see, and there's been just like the rumor mill has gone into high gear. Is there anything that you've heard that you like, oh, man, that sounds like a great idea. I wish they would do that?
Not particularly, no. I think the whole thing is, it needs to be, showed on TV better. I don't think there's anything wrong with Pro Stock. I just think, we need to do a little bit better job of presenting it on TV and presenting it as a professional category. I don't think there needs to be a whole lot changed with it. I mean, maybe make them a little bit faster and do something like that. But, I've heard rumors of bringing mountain motor cars in and stuff like that. I don't really have a dog in the fight, but, I don't think there's anything wrong with the class. I just think they need to do a better job of showing it on TV.
And I think your opinion is important because you're coming in from a different trajectory, on round tracks and go-kart racing with a lot of experience in various forms of motorsport. And you are young, which everyone is like, oh, we got to capture the mind of the young people. Well, we got a young people, and he's got a mind, and he likes it.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it. It's a really fun class. It's really competitive. You look at the rest of the classes, and none of them are as near as competitive as Pro Stock is right now. And it's just it's all, in my opinion, it's all about what you do with it and how you present it. So, until they get that figured out, I don't think it can really be fixed, No,
I understand. Well, I know that they are also working on it on the case, trying to, find what's interesting, the rivalries, the battles, and make them happen on the track. We just need a couple of burn downs here or there, or staging duels, which they may happen in time. Tanner, congratulations. third win of the season, tremendous rookie season, a lot of great rookies out there, but you are making the case for the Auto Club Road to the Future Award very clear. Congratulations on that. Headed to Seattle, and this is your first time up there. They are a different breed of racing fans.
Yeah, I've been there a few times, watched with my dad, and I'm excited to go there. I know that there's some diehard fans there, and it's a really cool place. I love the scenery and everything else. Not a big fan of the it's like a 5 or 6 hour flight over there, so not looking forward to that, but looking forward to getting there and racing and trying to go back to back.
There you go. Good luck, Tanner. Thank you so much for coming on WFO Radio.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Tanner Gray with us here on WFO Radio. The young man is just bringing the heat out there in NHRA Pro Stock. Interesting to hear, and he's been very clear from the beginning. First of all, Gray Motorsports, whatever the rules package is, they're going to be able to figure it out. They've got brain power, and they've got an engine shop and facility, so whatever you decide the combination is going to be, they're going to be in it and capable of adapting and winning. So he says nothing is wrong with it. It's awesome right now. And I really tend to agree that it is awesome. I love Pro Stock. Others, maybe they need convincing. 9 different winners, great racing, great personalities. Tanner, Bo, Drew. Our reigning champ, Jason Line, has not been on the show in a long time. When are we going to hear from Jason next? That is a real good question. Jason, if you're out there, we got a spot after this weekend. When's it going to happen? Got to talk about the TA, man. Greg Anderson, all kinds of stuff. It has been very interesting to see how it all has been working out. Now, we've got more to come. We have got Candida Benson from NHRA National Dragster. We have got L.E. Tonglet going to talk about that controversial photograph and did he win and 2/10,000th of a second. And we have got junior dragster racer Cade Poe, who had won 4 conference finals in the West Coast. This year decided to go east and won his 5th conference finals. That is unheard of. The next closest has only won 2 and has been to 3 finals. So it is amazing. Cade Poe, you're going to get to know Cade at the tail end of the show, and then we'll lead into my time. We're going to talk a little bit more about the timing system. When we come back, you're going to hear L.E. Tonglet. We got Candida Benson. It is all happening right here on WFO Radio. Right now, I want to tell you about RacerSupplyStore.com. The folks at RacerSupplyStore.com. Doug and George are offering a 5% discount to people who use the promo code WFO Radio. It's all cash, 5% off, hard parts. They got Willwood brakes. They've got Race Quip. They've got Weather Tech. They've got Holly. They've got all the family of brands that come through those. You got to check them out. RacerSupplyStore.com. George is an ASE Master Technician. He's been involved in motorsports for over 35 years and has done a lot of customer service and technical advice for a lot of the big guys out there. Doug Parlamento, similar situation. Great bracket racer on the local level here in South Florida, and they have got RacerSupplyStore.com, and you got to check out the website. You're going to find the parts you need. They're going to be shipped to your door. They're going to be shipped to your door in a very quick and fast way, and you have personalized customer service. That's great stuff. And to me, the kicker, they're big supporters of WFO Radio. 5% off. Use the promo code. Check them out, RacerSupplyStore.com. We'll be back with L.E. Tonglet, Candida Benson, Cade Poe, still coming up on WFO.
It ain't just wide open, it's WFO.
Your education. What are you doing? Look, I know you want to become an engine builder. I know you want to work in a machine shop. I know you know that is a very in-demand position, but you think you could probably learn it by hanging around the shop. The way to do it is to go the School of Automotive Machinist and Technology route, samtech.edu, where you can do all of those things except get an accredited education by real racers, where they don't sponsor race cars. Their cars are the curriculum. samtech.edu. Motorsports is exploding around the world. It is a job that cannot be outsourced. In fact, they might ship you in to work on their stuff. That's how in demand the job is. Engine builder, machinist, motorsport EFI, they do it all. Check them out, samtech.edu.
Android and iPhone users, download the WFO Radio app. It's sports radio for racing fans.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The ultimate racing show, including WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio Ignition, the WFO Radio NASCAR Tailgate Party, news, videos, push notifications, and more.
I just hope I'm part of it.
Go to the App Store or Android Market, search WFO Radio, and download it now.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. Download for your mobile device. Win your way on the show. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
The NHRA Western Swing Race 2 is complete. The Mickey Thompson Pro Bike Battle is complete. We have the winner of both races, Race 2, and the Pro Bike Battle. L.E. Tonglet joins us now. L.E., welcome back.
Oh, it's good to be back, Joe. I feel like I'm talking to you a lot this year.
Well, I think you are. I think the math backs it up. This is a dream season for anybody. You are right in the middle of it, and a whole lot going on, but you're winning a little extra money. Pro Bike Battle, specialty races out there at the Toyota Sonoma Nationals. Is this the best season you've ever had to this point?
Oh, yeah, I'd say this is the best season so far that I've ever had. You know, in 2010, I've won 5 races in one season, and we've won 5 races plus the Pro Bike Battle. So this is, compared to that season, it's very close to being better.
And we've had this conversation before, and part of the thing about the winner's editions is you win your way on. You won the race, you win your way on WFO, which is great. And then again, at the same time, we get to learn a lot about you because you're on a lot. And you have been. But would all these wins be, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to, the more times you're on, the more difficult it becomes, like a video game. But would this all be for nothing if you don't win the championship at this point now?
I wouldn't say it wouldn't be for nothing, because we still accomplished a lot during this season. We've got 5 race wins already, 6 with the team. So even if some reason we do not win the championship, it's still a great year. We have nothing to hang our heads about.
Well, that is a great attitude, and that's why I asked that question. All right, let's talk about the Pro Bike Battle first, and then obviously the final round against Matt Smith getting a lot of attention. We're going to focus on that a lot. I spoke about it a little bit earlier with Reinhardt, and the credibility of the sport, of the timing equipment, everything like that. We'll talk about that. But first, Pro Bike Battle, how nice is it for Mickey Thompson to fully fund that deal? The announcement was made a couple weeks back in Norwalk, and for you to go out there, and the Harleys have really dominated that, for you to take it back.
Oh, for Mickey Thompson to be stepping up like they did is just huge for the class and NHRA in general. It's just amazing that we have that backing behind the class now, and for me to be able to win it in my first year competing in it is just awesome. We knew we had the 2 fast motorcycles, and we were trying to get both war bikes in there, and we were just thankful that I was able to bring it home for War and Nitro Fish. And to beat the Harleys is just incredible because they've been on fire when it comes to that Pro Bike Battle.
Oh yeah, they have really taken that money, and something like that, the listeners out there may understand, or they may not understand, what an extra $7,500 can do for a team like yours. So what does it do? Okay, boom, extra $7,500. Is that making a difference?
Yes, I'd say it does. It allows us to fly in and fly out more. We were debating on whether we were going to drive the motorhome to Brainerd or not, and since we won that battle, we're going to end up flying there. So that's a little bit easier on us. And believe it or not, I could care less about the money. I wanted that wine barrel.
Ah, there you go. Are you a wine drinker?
No, I just think it's a very cool trophy. The specialty trophies are a lot harder to get because they're not at every race, and to be able to win one is pretty cool.
See, there you go. Your head is in the right spot. All right, let's talk about eliminations in the actual Toyota NHRA Sonoma Nationals. Matt Smith has had his bike flying. He's number 1 qualifier, and this battle is it's going to rage. The Harleys are back. everybody is mixing it up, but you guys have got Tim Kalungian, number 3 qualifier. First round, you had to go up against Freddie Camarena. Freddie is one of I would call him one of the more popular people in the pro stock motorcycle pit.
Oh, yeah, Freddie's a very good friend of ours, and he's actually got one of the chassis like what me and Jerry are running. So it's pretty cool. We're pitted next to him. He's great friends with us, and to be able to race a good friend of ours is really fun, and he told us to take it easy on him, but, we can't do that.
Yeah, so you put a 10th and a half on him, 677 first round. Second round, Angie Smith, so a prelude to the future. Angie had to run against Melissa Serber first round, but you were able to get around Angie. Now, you had an 097 light. Is that because you knew you had Angie outmatched with the motorcycle?
Absolutely not. I wish I could tell you what happened up there, but honestly, I have no clue why I had 097 reaction time. Guess I just had a brain fart, and we were lucky enough to get the round win. I thank Tim on that one for giving me all the power to be able to drive around her, because I really, really messed up bad against her.
Wow,
I tried to give it to her.
But you're not a robot, obviously, but you've been doing this a long time, and this is one of the things that we struggle, I think, to explain to the casual fan how even someone who is a champ, who's a U.S. Nationals winner, who is great, who's been doing it since their earliest opportunity, in a big moment can have a mistake, can make a mistake.
Oh, yeah. I believe that I kind of started believing that I might have blinked right as the tree was coming down, and that was the difference.
Wow. Yeah, well, it makes sense. Semifinal, you and Hector Jr., they are still working on their program. Jim Yates has obviously been helpful. Hector Jr. has been knocking at the door. They've got a quick motorcycle, but you were off the starting line first with an 030, 679.6. You got the win light.
Oh, yeah. Hector and them are really flying this part of the season, and Jim Yates is doing a great job. And anytime we go up against anybody in the semis, we know it's going to be a good race, and we're just lucky to get the round win. And then Hector Jr. told Jerry at the end of the track that Jerry created a monster with me. So it was kind of funny to hear that.
Well, you talk back and forth. That point where you come around the corner, you pull off your helmet, and then everybody in the pro stock motorcycle field is pretty much there just kind of talking. And that, I think, is such a cool thing for everybody to see. And I'm fortunate that I get to see it at many of the races. But there's jawing that goes on. And I always say it on this show. Like, there's talking. And you talk back and forth. I know you come across as quiet and humble in the media. But when you're by yourself, you are still quiet and humble, but you defend yourself. You battle. You come back. Was there any of that going on? Was it a typical race?
No, I'm going to defend myself to anybody. I'm not going to take nothing from anybody. And if someone says something, I'm going to say something back. And that's just how I am, and that's how I grew up. You always defend yourself. You don't let anybody walk all over you. So there was none of me defending myself at this race. It was just all good fun.
That is good. Final round, Matt Smith, and here we go. We've seen this show before in the past, and we will probably see it more. He's off the starting line first by a couple of thou, but you needed every bit of that 044 reaction time. He was 037, you're 044, you went 78.3, he went 79.0. If we do the math, it comes down to 0.002, 0.2 of 1 second. Take me through the run, and as you crossed the stripe, did you think you had won, or were you in question?
When I popped the clutch, I saw the green light, and I could hear him the whole way down the track, and I just shifting away, and I got tucked and tried not to move, and I could hear him. I wanted to look over bad, but as soon as I saw the wind light, I knew we won. I have blinders in my helmet, so unless he's 3 or 4 bikes in front of me, I'm not going to be able to see him. But I could hear him the whole way, and I knew it was close, but I didn't know it was that close.
Yeah, that's one of the closest races ever, and it ignited a bit of a social media issue. When did you know about it? Tell me what happened afterward, because anybody that follows along with the racers on Facebook saw that Matt's fans immediately went nuts that there was a mistake, that there's a mistake, this is not credible. I have my opinions, but first I want to hear what it was like to be on the opposite end of that, knowing that there were people basically questioning the outcome.
Yeah, they all question it because of that photo finish cam that puts that Papa John's logo on the track, and that photo finish cam is very misleading when you're talking about 0.2 of a second. You know, it's just we were in the winner's circle when we started hearing rumors about that, and then I didn't really look into the Facebook until I got out of my leathers after all of the media center. But like you said, I defended myself on that one Facebook post, and I'll just let it go from there.
There you have it. Well, my belief, and I mentioned this earlier, and we put up a photograph, the two side-by-side shots with the graphic, without the graphic. One's a little blurrier, one's a little more clear. But the wind light is right in the center of the orange block, and the camera angle, it's very close, but you are getting there. And the other camera angle, it looks like it's a little bit after the center of the orange block, the one with the Papa John's thing. We're talking about 0.2 of 1 second. So I can understand if people are allowing their personal, desire, like an out at first base, who got there first, the ball or the runner. It's difficult to get. That's why we have the CompuLink timing system that can go to 0.2 of a second.
That's correct. And they're all mad about that photo and everything. So I shared that one photo, but they're all saying that it's happened in the past, and it really hasn't happened since, I believe, 2006 when Matt was involved with Steve Johnson, and that was before that we had all the rules with the front wheels having to be flat black, with the staging disc has to be 5 inches from the ground. So since we've had all of that installed, we haven't had any issues, and it's been the computer hasn't been wrong, and I believe it's not wrong in this case, and they're just upset they lost, which from that picture it looks like they won, but it's hard to say. I believe I won, though.
Well, it doesn't matter. The timing system says you won, and that's where I come down now. Have you ever lost a race by 0.2 or some very small margin?
I've lost a race by a very close margin against Hector Jr. in Dallas one year. It was less than 2 inches, and it sucks to lose like that, but you just move on.
Well, maybe you won that one, though. Why don't you just declare victory? And that's the joke. Obviously, Matt and Angie, I love them. I think they're great people, and I don't know how much people on the outside seeing this picture getting emotional. We see it all the time. The fans drive a certain energy, and people maybe, go in a direction that they wouldn't ordinarily. But are we in a situation now where everyone will just declare victory when they feel like they won, regardless of what the timing equipment says?
That's what it feels like. Here's the other thing that I looked at on the two photos, Joe. You look at the back of the wheelie bar wheel. Every bike has a maximum of 130 inches from front axle to wheelie bar axle. And in both pictures, my wheelie bars are closer to the finish line.
Interesting. Look,
so that's something to look at also.
What can we imagine 0.2 of a second is at 196 miles an hour or so? Is that, is it an inch? Is it a half inch? Can we even figure that out?
I've read somewhere, I have no idea how to figure that out, but I read somewhere it's 0.69 of 1 inch, so a little less than 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah. See, so look, here's what I would say. That this next race out, I guess Brainerd, there is a chance that you will come up 0.2 short. If that is the case, are you going to declare victory?
No, I have full trust in the CompuLink system and NHRA.
There you go. And that's what I like to hear. And that's the basis of the sport. And to tear that down is really a bad idea. There you go.
Oh, yeah. And that camera, you're talking about less than 1/4 inch. That camera is on any bit of an angle. It's going to show the other person or me in front. That camera's got to be perfectly straight. And there's just so many variables that go into play.
Well,
to go off of a photo finish.
Absolutely. Well, why then, if that is the case, and I know you are involved, and this is probably, I know I did this a little bit earlier, but why do we have the CompuLink system then? Let's just put a camera and we'll put up every picture and let everybody vote on who won.
Exactly.
So,
we'll go back to 1950s with the flagger at the end of the track.
Exactly.
That's what we want to do.
We'll call down there on the radio and ask someone whose opinion who got it. LE by 0.69 of 1 inch. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I'd like to see that see someone who can see that with the naked eye.
Well, as watching it, it was unbelievable. It was one of those races, and it usually happens in the final rounds. The two best bikes or cars have to race each other, and down the track they go. And without the timing system, you would not be able to figure it out. And fortunately, we have the CompuLink timing system, and so there you go.
Exactly.
Ellie, I appreciate you coming on the show. All right, so the start of the season to this point has been fantastic for you. But as you mentioned, Brainerd, Indy, playoffs, just like that. Here we are.
Oh yeah, we just got to get our stuff together, ready for the countdown, and we'll see what happens. We got a pretty significant lead right now, and it sucks that the countdown resets it, but hey, that worked out to our benefit in 2010 when we were able to win the championship.
Well, see, there's exactly the point. It's that, speaking of credibility, you won one because of the countdown, or at least because of the opportunity the countdown provided, so now you got to win from a different position inside the countdown.
Oh, yeah, it sucks when you're on this side of it.
You look at it like a great opportunity to show how great a team you have.
Oh, yeah, we're looking forward to the countdown. We feel like we got the two best bikes out there right now, and it's going to be one fun 6 races.
There you go. Ellie, congratulations. Thank you for coming on the show, addressing these issues. Great entertainment. That's what it's all about. Pro Stock Motorcycle. If nothing else, Pro Stock Motorcycle is being discussed by a large amount of people this given week. That's good news.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I love reading all those comments.
Mixing it up a little bit. All right, Ellie, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Joe.
Ellie Tonglet, WFO. You know, we're going to have to get questions for Ellie now soon because he is on the show a lot. He's one of our 2017 co-hosts. And you can go back into the archive a long way. I really feel like you are hearing the history of drag racing behind the scenes, off the track, chronicled here on WFO Radio. Great stuff by L.E. And we're gonna ask you to send questions the next time L.E. wins without even asking him. And we're just going to present it because I feel like he'll be good with it. Joe at WFORadio.com. If L.E. wins, you can send your questions to L.E. Tonglet. We got more to come. Candida Benson, Cade Poe coming up on the show. Plus, I'm going to delve into this whole timing thing a little bit more at the tail end during my time and throw in a couple other things in there as well. Antron Brown, BBC America. I want to talk about that. Good things happening. You know, this past week, our great friends at BigFishTools.com, Alton, was out at the track, the Toyota Sonoma Nationals, and I communicated with Alton, who created the new WFORadio.com, which isn't new anymore, but it really helped us get further along. Our show is an audio show. It's an audio experience. You're hearing it now, but the website is mandatory. Got to have a good website because someone thinks about WFORadio.com. Let me go look at it. And they look at the website. If the website is not up to snuff, then they think the show is not up to snuff. If it's a nice website, you see all kinds of pictures of racers and you see some stories and you can easily navigate, then you think, hey, these guys might know what they're doing. Well, the same is true about you, your business, and your race team. Whatever you've got going, you might think, oh, I'll just create a Facebook page and I'll put it out there to a couple of people. And I'm telling you, that is not enough. It's not professional. When you go to a big marketing department for a big sponsorship, you go look at my Facebook page. They're going to say, yeah, not good enough. You need to have a professional website. So I was connecting with Alton, and he told me, and I'm thrilled about this, that one of our WFO Radio listeners contacted him about a website. I want to give them a name check. MGPconnectingrods.com. And I went to the website. I hadn't heard of MGP, but that's probably my bad, but now I have. And I'm looking at their website. Look at that. There's Bob Ram, great buddy Bob Ram, who is an awesome guy, awesome family. He uses MGP connecting rods, and you can see it at the website, or certainly his photograph is on there. They're located in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and they make connecting rods, custom-built connecting rods. And they've got alcohol rods, they've got big block Chevrolet rods, they've got all kinds of different small block rods, and it's a beautiful website. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, man, this company is extremely professional. And this site was designed by BigFishTools.com. And that is just great. And so to the folks at MGP Connecting Rods, well, thank you for using one of our people. Alton at BigFishTools.com. That is how it is supposed to work. Hopefully you're very happy. If you're unhappy, take it up with Alton, but I know you're happy. You can get custom rods in 10 days. That's pretty impressive. Impressive stuff. And Alton says that they listen. So, guys, thank you very much for supporting the people who support WFO Radio, and I think the site is A+. MGP Connecting Rods. Way to go, guys. And if you are looking for a website, BigFishTools.com is where to start. That's Alton's site. And he does a lot of sites for drag racers, many of which you have heard on this show, but also professional bass fishermen. He's big in that universe. He can do mobile apps. He can do all kinds of stuff. Storage, you got to take it up with him. But the idea of skimping by when you can have something beautiful, why do it? Why skimp when you can have something beautiful, especially someone who knows drag racing and is in the community? So check it out, BigFishTools.com, and way to go to our friends at MGP. Thank you for supporting WFO. All right, Ellie Tonglet, Candida Benson. Ellie was great. Candida is next. Cade Poe to bring us home, and then I'll bring you my thoughts about credibility regarding the timing system.
Everybody, listen carefully.
Now you listen to me. Why do you listen? WFO, you guys are number one.
Honest. Listen.
Hey, everybody. How do you start your day? You started off with a little coffee. And do you want something cheap and vacuum-packed with garbage? You want to pay for a retail coffee? It's like $11. Or do you want something that is good, like RoadAxeCoffeeandGrills.com? Join the RoadAxe Army. WFO users and listeners know all about it. Over 40 grades to choose from. This is roasted fresh per your order, not to mention hot sauce, spice rub. You got to call Marvin, get on the phone line, or go to the website, RoadAxeCoffeeandGrills.com. Check it out. That's RoadAxeCoffeeandGrills.com.
Subscribe to WFO Radio on iTunes. Never miss a show. And don't forget to write a review. WFO.
RacerSupplyStore.com has what you need. RaceQuip, WeatherTech, Holley, MSD, the brands you need with personalized customer service. Doug and George are racers. It is a great website. It works very well. You've got to check them out. The next part you order from RacerSupplyStore.com.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
I'm hoping we have a whole lot of new listeners out there. That's what I'm hoping. You know, the Western swing, we're going from Denver to Sonoma to Seattle and then on to Brainerd and Indy in the playoffs. It's all happening here on WFO Radio. People who are fans of the NHRA Mellow Yellow and Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series checking in for the very first time. You just found the show. Click subscribe because you get to hear great guests like this one from NHRA National Dragster and NHRA Publications. Candida Benson is back. Candida, welcome back.
Thank you. Yep, she's back.
She's back. And, of course, that is the young kids don't even know what that's from. You know, there's a Poltergeist reference somewhere in there. And, snow on the Christmas tree, so on the television, something you just don't see anymore.
That's right. You don't see that. Manual dials.
Nope.
Oh, crap. We're dating ourselves right
It's
now,
true.
aren't we?
But that after Poltergeist, the snow on the TV was a very scary thing because it makes perfect sense that they could come in through that.
Yes, very much so. I may have watched that a time or two.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, of course. That was, speaking of dating ourselves. Now, from what I could tell, we spoke with Alan a little bit earlier. It looked like a massive crowd, like a strong crowd. I heard John Force say the words, the fastest growing motorsport in the world. I like the way it sounds, and I like seeing those crowds.
Yeah, it was absolutely packed, and I don't know why you wouldn't have come if you were in the area because the weather was fantastic. there was that whole, I don't know, Robert went, 3:39 thing, So it was spectacular performances, great weather. There was no reason not to be there, and I think pretty much the entire Sonoma Valley showed up because there was traffic coming into the track. Getting around the pits was a little bit of a challenge because there were so many people packed in there, and they were packed in those grandstands. It was a fantastic weekend.
That is awesome. You mentioned the 3:39. But why not 340? Like, I hate to, what is that, looking a gift horse in the mouth, but boy, it would have been so different if he had just clicked off those extra couple tenths and got the 340.
I know, and everybody was kind of saying that, too. It was kind of like we were so close, but it's still, 339. When I saw it come up on the boards, I had to kind of look back up again and go, wait, am I reading that correctly? Because it was just... It was unbelievable. It was an incredible run, and Robert said in the press room that 340 is definitely out there. So I'm thinking maybe Brainerd that's coming up. The last couple of years we've had great runs there, or maybe when we get to Reading, we might see that magical number come up on the scoreboard. And I think I'm probably going to have to rub my eyes again and make sure that I'm really seeing it.
And if it does, I know that we're in a new time, and of course, safety is first and paramount, and that is number one, and that our NHRA with the rev limiter and all these things that they've decided, and this is what we got. But the idea of seeing a 340 and making all those fantasy speed limit signs that you see at the racetracks over these years, speed limit 340, true, just so exciting.
It is exciting, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of that careful balancing act because we absolutely want to see those, but at the same time, you also have to take safety into consideration. The nice thing about Sonoma is they have a really nice long shut-off area, and it goes uphill, so, running 339 isn't an issue there. It's when you get to other tracks where it's a little bit more condensed and whatnot. So, yeah, we kind of have to balance the two out, and considering that it sounds like there are changes coming for next season, wouldn't it be nice to kind of go out and see the 340 and kind of get that before we head into the next incarnation of funny car racing?
Absolutely, and I think you're referencing some angle changes on the header. We discussed those a little bit earlier, and there are some formula changes that may be coming, not just in funny car. If they're going to do something to pro stock, if they're going to do something to any category, now is about the time where they would start letting people know.
Right, yeah, and there's a lot of talk going on. I know that there's a lot of rumors and speculation, particularly when it comes to pro stock. There's a lot of talk going on, and it's not just, NHRA taking a look and going, here's what we think should happen. They're working with the teams, and there's not an easy solution sometimes to some of these situations that arise. So people need to kind of have a little bit of patience. Don't necessarily believe everything that you're reading on the internet because that might not be true. There's a lot of discussions and ideas being thrown around, and just because an idea is brought up doesn't mean that that's the end-all, be-all. But, yeah, right now is kind of the time of the year where we start hearing the buzz and we start getting some things put into place because, obviously, if you're going to make a big change, you don't want to throw it at the teams at the last minute and say, oh, by the way, you need to hurry and get this done. But, yeah, so right now is kind of the time of the year where you start looking towards next year in terms of that. Obviously, there's a lot of racing to go, so the fundamentals and the points and what we're doing right now is really the key, but you also have to start looking ahead a little bit, too.
So let's see. You say have patience.
I know that's a tough thing for people to do, particularly on social media, but yes, you need to have a little bit of patience.
Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Huh.
I know. Just because it's on your screen doesn't mean it's true. I know you believe everything that's on your screen, Joe, but everything. I'm here to tell you it's
on my
not
screen.
All true.
And a picture is worth 1,000 words. There has been a lot of discussion about the photograph circulated that shows Matt Smith in getting to the finish line ahead of L.E. Tonglet. I have very, I guess forcefully, I don't know, I'm coming out in favor of the timing equipment in that it's chaos if we are just looking at our own pictures, picking winners.
Yeah, I don't know what to believe because there's two different photos that are circulating out there, and one of the challenges when you're looking at a photo is the angle of the photo. And I can tell you, looking at some of the photos that our photographers have shot, it's a challenge. Sometimes you look at a photo, but because of the angle at which it's taken, it looks a little bit different than what you actually have happened on the track there. So it's kind of hard to look at a photo and go, yeah, this is the end-all, be-all. And kind of what, for me, is also creating more of a question mark is the fact that that image has some graphics on it that are superimposed on it and aren't necessarily representative of what's happening on the track that might be a little bit misleading. I tend to believe the timing equipment, and I know Ellie Tonglet referenced in the media room that following the situation in Indy several years back, that some changes were made to the bikes in terms of adding things to the wheel so that they didn't miss the beams when they went through the finish line. So I kind of tend to believe the timing equipment. Obviously, people will look at it. There's going to be a lot of speculation. There's going to be a lot of opinions, right or wrong. But, yeah, I'm with you. I stick with the timing equipment because it works. Are there flaws? Yeah, there are probably flaws here and there, but overall, it's a system that works, and so I have to believe it because it's too close of a race for us to go, no, it's wrong.
Well, exactly, and that's where I'm coming down. First of all, I am going to go into this a little bit more at the tail end of the show, but, as a bracket racer, someone who's raced and had some skin in the game at one point, I can't imagine what it's like to lose a national event by a couple of 10,000ths of a second. But every race, there's a winner and a loser. And over the course of a national event weekend, there are many races that the person who loses is looking at their ET slip going, oh, my goodness, 1,000th or a couple of 10,000ths. And all of a sudden, if we're going to start saying, yeah, the timing equipment is not accurate, then it's going to damage the sport.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got to, at some point you've got to put trust in that system. And like I said, it's been working for years and years and years. It's not without flaws, but I don't know anything that isn't without the flaws. But overall, it is a good system. It works well. And as we've gone through the years and you've discovered little flaws, like, for example, Indianapolis, where a front wheel missed the beam, changes have been made. There have been things that have been added to try to avoid those situations. I don't think that this is a situation where we need to reevaluate it and do anything different because I think the timing system got it right.
Yes. And if we're going to apply NFL-style rules and, is it conclusive the other way? No, it is definitely not conclusive. You would not overturn the replay or you wouldn't overturn the call on the field. That's what I would say. I would not, having gone back and seen this photo, because I have attached them together. There are two photos, which you may have seen, the slightly blurrier one and then the more clear one. The more clear one with the graphics is stretched out. It looks like a screen capture. Some aspects of the bikes look distorted. The circular wheels are egg-shaped because of what they're doing. So there's definitely some stretching going on. The one that is blurry, to me, shows LE getting there pretty conclusively.
Yeah, and I'm with you. The one that's blurrier, yeah, it's not in focus, but those bikes are going really fast. So you try getting them in focus at speed. But I agree with you. The proportions of the bikes seem to be a little bit more accurate there. And like I said, with the other one that's a screenshot from the television program, not only are things stretched out a little bit, but you also have the added graphics on there which can mislead things. I mean, we've seen with the first down line in the NFL where you kind of look at it there and you think someone clearly got a first down based on that yellow line that's on the screen, and that's just not true. Once they actually measure it with the official sticks, it turns out that it's not true. So that can kind of throw things off as well. And again, the angle of it, and that may be where the distortion is coming from, it's not a head-on angle straight at the finish line either.
Absolutely. And now that racing is closer than ever before, we're going to run into instances like this ever before. And the NFL reference, I think, is great. There is no sport that is more coveted, beloved, or worth more money in the United States of America. And in the end, those chains move because there are a couple of volunteers on the side of the field putting a stick down in the grass. Are they putting it in exactly the right, millimeter? I don't think so.
Right, yeah. At least here we've got something that's a little more concrete. I mean, the timing system with the beams, that's a little bit more concrete than some guys standing at the finish line and going, I think that guy finished first.
Yeah, exactly. Although I did volunteer for that job. That could just be my gig.
All right. Well, if we ever go to that, Joe, I will make sure that you are the man.
I'm first in the line. Yeah, right side by 2 10,000s.
There you go.
So there you go. Pro Stock, we heard from Tanner Gray. We're seeing the category. You referenced all the rumors and discussions and patience and don't believe what you read. That having been said, if nothing happened and we just had the kind of competition that we're having and maybe some, slight, forget it, nothing happened, I think we're in the middle of a great season of Pro Stock.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you think about it. Everyone talking about, Pro Stock and the troubles and stuff. It's probably the most competitive class that we have out there right now.
9 different winners.
Yeah, you go down the line. There's 9 different winners. In Top Fuel, Steve Torrance has won 6 of the races. Ron Capps has won 6 of the races in Funny Car. Ellie Tonglet has won 5 of the races in Pro Stock Motorcycle. The most wins in Pro Stock is 3. So, that's half of the full-time 24-race classes there. So it's hard to say that Pro Stock isn't interesting because week in and week out, you're getting different winners, and it's not predictable. Last year at this point, it was kind of predictable, and you could go, okay, is it going to be Greg or is it going to be Jason? This year, you can't really say that because there's so many good cars out there that are doing well, and when you factor in things like Jeg Coughlin hasn't won a race yet, it's the potential is there for so much more as well.
Absolutely. A guy like Jeg, you would think that they're going to get a win at some point. We're going to have Larry Morgan diving back in a McGahey-powered machine. That's a win that could happen. Vincent Nobile is a win. You got Warren and Kurt Johnson out there on the Western Swing. How is that with Matt Hartford? He was out. I saw Warren out there in Denver, and they're doing the whole swing. That's got to be cool having the professor out there.
Oh, it's always great having Warren out there. I've run into him a couple of times this year, and, it's Warren. How can you not like having him out there? He's an interesting guy. Not only is he a great racer, but he's an interesting guy to talk to, and, he and Kurt would still like to come back out. It's just a matter of funding. They've got the cars ready to go. They've got an EFI setup. It's just a matter of them getting the funding to do so. I think it'd be great if we could get them back out there. But if we can't have them driving cars, having them on the starting line with Matt Hartford is, I guess, the next best thing.
Love watching those guys roll their sleeves up. Anything else that stuck out in your mind as a point of note? We have not spoken with you for several weeks now. And the series is moving on. We're getting to this critical point. The U.S. Nationals right around the corner, about to wrap up the Western Swing. Antron Brown, big TV star, BBC America. I watched that. I absolutely loved it. I don't know if you got a chance to see it. But is there anything that is at the top of your mind as far as storylines?
Well, I think obviously you kind of referenced we're now getting down to crunch time on it. So a lot of focus moving forward is going to be at the bottom of the standings. Yes, the people at the top will obviously get attention, but it was really interesting to watch, particularly the battle in Top Fuel, because that first round we had Terry McMillan, Scott Palmer, and Sean Langdon all win that opening round. Troy Coughlin Jr. unfortunately did not, but that just kind of tightened things up even further, and then Terry goes on to the semifinals. So for me, that was an interesting thing to watch, was that. Also, it's interesting to watch some of the kind of independent campaigners. One of the highlights for me this weekend was watching Mike Salinas. He was the quickest Top Fuel driver in the final qualifying session on Saturday, which I thought was super cool. And, of course, we had a new guy who debuted in Pro Stock, Steve Graham, so that was kind of fun to watch him as well. He's still learning a little bit, and my understanding is that he's going to hit the final 2 races as well later on this year. So that was cool to kind of watch a new guy come into Pro Stock and try the waters out a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. And, 664, first round, 800s off Jason Line, reigning world champ. And it can be done. It can be done. Richard Freeman was on here a couple of weeks ago. It can be done. You just got to find the right people. There's a lot of smart people. If you're a racer, you get out there, you do it. You mentioned Mike Salinas. He's on the program with Alan Johnson. He's got Doug Cook. They got some good stuff. They seem like they're determined to be a part of this NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series.
Yeah, absolutely. And they seem to be doing it the right way, too. It wasn't just, hey, let's throw a car out and go. They put the car together the right way. They got all the parts and pieces together to not just come out and make runs, but to try and be competitive and get better. And you saw that this weekend where he reset his career best twice during qualifying. On Friday night, he reset both ends of it, and then in Q4 when he was the best of the entire top field class. He reset both ends of his career best again. So, yeah, they're coming along, and he said after that run on Saturday afternoon that they want to get in the 360s, and I'm not betting against them by any means. They still have a little ways to go because he's at a 377 right now, but hey, if they keep picking away at it and they keep improving, I don't see a reason why they can't make the 370 or the 360s here very soon.
Wow, that would be incredible. Hey, let me throw a curveball at you in that I know you've had a lot of experience with the Summit Junior Dragster League.
Yes.
We are going to have Cade Poe on the show. And Doug Gordon reached out to me while we were in Denver and it's like, hey, you know, Cade is a family friend. He's won like 4 Western Conference championships. This year they went East, and he won the Eastern Conference championship. And I think it'd be a good story for WFO. And, of course, we love the Junior Dragster program in that it's the gateway to the bigs. This is how the young people do it. But the idea of any one person winning, I believe it's 5 conference championships, 4 West, 1 East, that seems shockingly good.
It's ridiculous. Like, I was there in Bristol when he won this one, and I still kind of am going, did that really happen? To just kind of give you perspective and not to go too deep into it, but this started out as a single national championship race. Then when it grew and got too big to really be contained into one race, it split into 2. In the history of the national championships and the conference finals, which we kind of combine into one thing, no other racer has won more than 2 of these. And in my book, if you win 1 during your junior career, you're doing really well because you're talking about hundreds of cars on a day in either Bristol or the Western Conference finals have moved around. This year it was in Tulsa. It's really hard to win those. So to win 5 is just ridiculous. And to be honest with you, I think it's going to be hard for anyone to ever match that record or beat it. I kind of look at it as kind of a John Force level where it's like, can someone do it? Possibly. Is it realistic that someone can actually reach that? Probably not. And to kind of also, something that's impressive to me is his wins have come at 4 different tracks. He won Western Conference titles at Denver, at the track in Salt Lake City, at the track in Tulsa, and now he won the Eastern Conference finals at Bristol. That's pretty impressive when you consider that they don't necessarily run these tracks week in and week out. So you're coming in fresh. You've got to get the data, and you've got to figure it out. He and his dad, John, have done an incredible job year after year after year of adapting to the situation and doing really well and coming out on top. It's
amazing, and I am really appreciative for Doug Gordon for programming the show. You know what I mean? I love those kind of things because it is interesting, and 5 wins, that's unbelievable in that you have a limited shelf life. It's not like professional drag racing where you can get in at 30 and race till 55, or even, depending on who you are, you might be the Greek and go till you're 85. But you can only race junior dragsters for so long. From what I understand, he's 15 years old. He's already got 5 of these. Talk about rising to the occasion, not having a weird run go against you, just a guy totally nail it, some sort of parts failure. These junior dragsters aren't the most stable things on the planet. Sometimes things break. Or to do that at the highest level within that category, it's very surprising.
It really is. Like I said, I'm still kind of in shock. I still can't. I just kind of looked at him and shook my head because obviously with him winning 5, I've gotten to know him and his family pretty well through the years. I just looked at him and went, I just really? He just kind of smiled and that day I asked him, I said, is this kind of unbelievable? And his answer to me was, it probably will be tomorrow. I'm just hungry right now. So, priorities.
Of course.
When you're racing, you kind of forget about food sometimes. But, yeah, it's a pretty impressive record. It really is. And there was a lot of debate. Oh, well, he's on his way to the final. If he wins, he's the greatest junior racer ever. I kind of said, I kind of think you can make that argument whether he won or lost this year anyway, because in addition to the fact of his 5 wins being the most, his 5 final rounds, and he's perfect in final rounds, by the way, as well, his 5 final rounds are more than anyone else has ever been to. The most behind him is 3. So, yeah, it's impressive, and a really good kid to boot. He's not cocky. In fact, he kind of shies away from the spotlight and gets a little annoyed with me when I kind of pull him into it on the junior Facebook page or whatnot. But yeah, it's an impressive feat for sure.
Candida, I greatly appreciate it. What are you working on for NHRA National Dragster and NHRA.com?
Well, right now we are wrapping up the issue that has the Denver results in it. That's going to the printer this week. Then obviously with the 3 in a row, we have stuff from Sonoma and Seattle that'll be coming up down the road. We have our weekly columns on NHRA.com. I just threw up the new rookie report card, which obviously we have a show-off in that class. So you can see the latest stats from the rookie class there. That goes up every Tuesday after a national event. Phil Burgess has his Dragster Insider column. Kevin McKenna has his sports report. Jacob Sundstrom does the Behind the Numbers features, which there's a lot of interesting topics in that. If you pay attention, he puts that up periodically. So, yeah, there's a lot of great stuff coming down the road, and we have videos on NHRA.com. Obviously, you mentioned Cade Poe. He's coming into our studio as well this week, so we'll have a video feature on him in addition to all the other great national event stuff that's up there.
Tremendous. Candida, thank you so much. Don't forget to follow her at Candida Benson. You know how the WFO audience loves to tweet at you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I get tons of tweets from the WFO audience. And, in fact, a shout-out to David, who was one of our Backstage Pass winners in Sonoma this weekend, who, after I introduced myself, he said, "Hey, aren't you the Candida that goes on WFO?" And I said, "I sure am." So, hi, David. It was nice to meet you and your daughter this weekend.
That is awesome. Candida, thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe.
Candida Benson with us here on WFORadio.com, NHRA National Dragster. You got to check out her work on NHRA.com. And all kinds of great stuff going on NHRA.com. And I'm still very appreciative for the piece they did on WFO Radio. Hopefully you saw that, Louis Bloom and the team there on NHRA.com coming from the Wally Park Studios. Great stuff, great stuff. All right, when we come back, Cade Poe, you heard a lot about him right there. Candida is very knowledgeable about the Junior Drag Racing League, Summit Junior Drag Racing League. We're going to speak with Cade when we come back, and then I will delve into the timing system and just why I think it is danger to question the timing system, especially if it's inconclusive. It's inconclusive. We're going to talk about that. But Cade Poe, this is Doug Gordon, all Doug Gordon, texting me, thinking about it, knowing about the show, appreciating the show, that kind of stuff. And Doug, obviously great guy. Want more racers and crew members and everybody out there that listen. I know you guys listen. You got ideas, man. Send them my way. We will execute the ideas, meaning we'll use them.
This is WFO Radio.
You've been listening to WFO Radio for a long time now, and you hear these racers all talking about how much they spend, how much they travel, how hard they work, all to accelerate really, really quickly. Well, Frank Hawley and Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School has figured a way for you to do it at a fraction of the price, the work, the effort, the time. It is a fun experience. It's called the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com and investigate. No ride-along. You drive it. You are the driver. It's called the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com to find out more and tell them you heard it on WFO.
Hey, WFO Universe. Want something for free? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope with plenty of postage, and we'll load it up with free WFO stickers. That's right, I said free. Send your envelope, care of Costello Media /WFO stickers to P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida 33084. Do it now.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Final segment, NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio. We heard from Ellie Tonglet, Candida Benson. We talked about Steve Torrance's amazing run this year. We talked with Tanner Gray. Of course, J.R. Todd coming out of Junior Dragsters, first Junior Dragster racer to ever win in Funny Car, which brings us to this. We have got an opportunity to speak with what some are saying. You heard Candida just say it. The greatest Junior Dragster racer of all time. 5 conference finals wins. The next closest is only 2. Been to 5 final rounds and won them all. He joins us now. Cade Poe. Cade, welcome to WFO Radio for the very first time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You are a West Coast racer, and you had won 4 Western Conference finals. Candida Benson from NHRA National Dragster, who I know you know, just explained to the audience why they split them up to make it easy for the parents. To have one big race for junior dragster kids is impossible. A whole nation worth of junior dragster kids. So you're a West Coast guy, and you won 4 of those. What made you decide to go east this year? What was behind that decision?
The main decision for that was they put the Western Conference Finals when I was still in school and when all the West Coast kids were still in school. So we couldn't really make it out there. We were still going through our last week of school having finals, and you can't really skip that. So we got a group together, a group of 10 families that wanted to go out there and race the Eastern Conference for the first time.
Wow, that is very cool. And yes, I agree. School, pretty important. It's a pretty important thing. Now, what grade are you in?
I'm going to be in 11th grade.
11th grade. So you're going...
10th grade. 10th grade.
Oh, all right. Yeah, you don't want to skip that sophomore year. So 15 years old, how long have you been doing the junior dragster thing?
I started when I was 8.
8 years old. Were you coming out of a racing family? I think your dad is a firefighter. Did he race, or is this something that he came home and presented to you, like, hey, this is what you guys are going to do? Or how did it start? What were your first experiences with a junior dragster? How did it get rolling?
Well, it really got rolling when my dad saw those cars. They were displayed out in Pomona, and he saw those, and then he got my older brother into it, and then I was around 6 at the time when my brother got into it, so then eventually I was brought up to it.
Wow. So he saw a display, at every NHRA Mellow Yellow Series event. There's usually junior dragster families and kids on display to try to explain to, parents, hey, not only can you do this, but this is a great thing to get involved in because you meet a lot of people. That seems to be exactly how it worked with you.
Yeah, it did.
Now, when did you realize you were good? Like, did that take some work, or did you just jump in and have some success early on?
I didn't really have success early on. It really started when I was in probably 3 years in to doing it. I didn't win my first Wally until my probably last race in the youngest age group. So it definitely took some practice. I was always on the practice tree every day for hours with my brother, and it was fun.
Wow. Well, that's what I'm wondering about. Now you're 15 years old, but you can remember to back when you were 8 years old. And were you taking it serious? And it sounds like you were. It sounds like you wanted to excel at this from the very beginning.
Yeah, it's something I've always had a passion for. It's something different. No other kid really, at least at my school, I haven't had like a racing connection with them. So, I mean, it's something different. It's something that I want to do, and it's something I'm going to put all my effort into.
Is it challenging to have friends at school who have no idea what you're doing, let alone that you excel at it?
It doesn't really bother me. I think it's kind of cool. Like if I introduce them into it, into at least drag racing, if I bring them over and show them my car, I think they think it's pretty cool.
That is great. So the conference finals, though, to win 4, Candida and I were just laughing about it because it's just unbelievable. The idea to show up at any one race, whatever it is, it could be a Saturday night bracket race, to win it 4 times, to make 4 final rounds, and then to come east and do it again. You're 5 for 5. No other driver has won more than 2. And the words greatest junior racer of all time or ever were just thrown out here on WFO Radio. What do you make of that? You're the guy who did it, but this is what people are saying about you.
I'm just trying to stay humble about it. It's I mean, it's amazing, to think that, but I just try to I just want to be the same person. Now, I don't think this will change me. I mean, obviously, I think it's just how it goes.
We all want to know. There's thousands of bracket racers want to know how to make it go like this for us, because it's amazing. You see these races; they're decided by thousandths and 10,000ths of a second. Let's focus in on the Eastern Conference Finals. Happen in Bristol. You've won finals in Denver and Salt Lake City, Tulsa, now Bristol. 4 different tracks. Thanks to Candida for that note. And tell me about your race day. Was it, how'd you feel going in? Like, oh, I got this, or what was your attitude?
I just try to keep a positive attitude. Take every round, take one round at a time. Don't try to, take it all in at once. You just try to take it off by pieces, and my kind of, my mindset for this has been, ever since I won my first, is if you could win it once, you could win it as many times as you want to.
Wow, that is an interesting attitude. I appreciate that. In that, you control your own destiny. What about your racing on that given day? Was it especially, were there some rounds that stick out in your mind that could have gone either way? Racers always talk, I had a lucky round this round. Was there a race that was the one that you needed to get through?
It was probably the final round. That was probably my luckiest round. I didn't get the best light, but then I drove the stripe, in which that's what helped me.
Wow, and so you pick up the win. They have to be talking about you. The other young people out there, though, like, hey, there goes Cade Poe, the guy who's won 4 championships. Are you finding that is helpful to you? We heard Steve Torrance talk about intimidation wins, where people make mistakes because they know they got to do better than they have been if they're going to beat you.
Yeah, that definitely, intimidation really does happen, but I'm friendly with everyone. I'm not really not going to talk to someone. I'm just, if they come up to me and talk to me, we had that actually. A kid came up to me when I was in the lanes, and we talked for a little bit, and it was fun. It's
so weird. I think about, there were no junior dragsters when I was a kid. It's unfortunate I had to start out, and, big cars and everything, but there were grown-ups around. The idea of kids competing against each other, there's got to be a whole dynamic happening that only you understand, that the parents don't even get. Is there?
I don't really think so. I think it's kind of the same thing. It's just, kids. That's the only difference.
Huh. Interesting. Now, you're only 15, so you got an opportunity to do more of this. You mentioned your brother used to race and has now aged out because you can only run junior dragsters for so long, and then there has to be, join the ranks of the big cars. What do you want to do? Like, if you could set your target on anything right now, Cade Poe, 5 conference finals wins, 5 out of 5. Everybody thinking about, this kid obviously has talent. What would you like to do with it? Where would you like to be?
Well, for right now, I'm just going to try and get my license, and then do the sportsman classes, and then race on nostalgia, and then, I'm going to try and work my way up and eventually, hopefully, get in the top fuel.
There you go. I like your attitude. Well, you've got the star power already. You got the resume. You just got to keep on trucking. Do you have favorite racers? Do you have people that you look up to that are your heroes, the guys that you want to emulate that are in various categories, and who are they?
I would say one is probably Del Worsham. His daughters raced juniors too, and we're all friends, we're all family, so.
Yeah, well, Del is one of the great guys out there and beloved by most out there. That is really, really cool. Cade, I appreciate you coming on WFO Radio. What would you say to parents who thought about junior dragsters for their kids but are like, I don't know, how has it benefited you away from racing? Clearly you're doing great on the track, but what about away from the track? Has it helped you in your regular life, in your school, and dealing with other people, confidence-wise? Is there a benefit that we might not think of?
It just gives you, it gives you motivation in school, helps you to keep your grades up because if you don't have good grades, your parents aren't probably going to take you out to the races. And also gives you like speaking skills because you're talking to people, and it just makes you into a great person.
I agree with that. Have your parents ever had to take the car away from you? Have you ever been on the receiving end of that punishment for something?
Fortunately, no. I haven't been in the punishment, but it's came close sometimes.
Yeah, well, I can imagine. And that's what I always say on the mic out there. I'm like, hey, parents, you got something to take away if they don't behave.
Yeah, that's true.
There you go. What about away from the racetrack? What is your second favorite sport? What do you like to do?
I wrestle in high school, so I guess that's my second favorite.
Ah, a competitor. So you're a competitor out there. That's it. You like to win.
Yeah.
That is good. Cade, congratulations. Well, now, obviously, I know that you're going to be doing some things with NHRA.com within the junior dragster community. You are well known. Now the WFO universe knows about you, and we wish you the best of luck with your career, like wherever you end up going. Obviously, education is vital and important, and these cars, they obviously don't run on fuel. They run on money, so you need to get out there and do well in your life, whatever it is. But you have got a great talent. What you're doing is amazing. We're going to keep our eye on you. Thank you so much for coming on WFO Radio and telling us all about your amazing experience.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Cade Poe with us here on WFO Radio, 15-year-old junior dragster sensation, and the words, greatest junior drag racer ever, were uttered by Candida Benson. That is pretty impressive. And to win 5 of anything when the next closest person has only won 2 of anything is very impressive. And a big thanks to Doug Gordon. Way to go, Doug, programming the show. More of you racers out there should learn from Doug Gordon and help me program the show. The door to my office is always open. If you got an idea, a concept, like every episode of this show pretty much is listener's choice. So we'll have that go on in the future. All right, now on to my time. First, for all the junior dragster racers that might be listening to hear Cade Poe, we would love for you guys to listen to WFO Radio. It is a podcast, clean. If your parents are cool with it, we talk to NHRA drag racers every week on this show. We try to extract top-end driving tips and reaction time tips and all that stuff on the show. Hopefully you can listen, and if not, when you are older to WFO Radio. Good job for Cade, though. That is great stuff, and he's going to be on NHRA.com. Now, there are a couple of things I want to talk about before I get into the timing system talk, which is a little serious. First of all, Antron Brown, BBC America. Great job, Antron. Lighthearted, a lot of fun. He's going to be a star. It is going to be big fun. Go play with the cars because we can't. You guys get to play with the cars. I would have liked to have seen the show focus more on Antron Brown. I want to see Antron do his stuff. He's a champion race car driver. It was kind of cool seeing him in the Beatles. Someone sent me, why no helmets, though? And that is a good question. But set your DVR, BBC America. That is great stuff. Also, if you're in South Florida, WSVN 7, Channel 7 Fox, hasn't been showing NHRA drag racing. We need them to. You got to call in. Polite. Hello. Here's why. There's great racing, great competition, a very diverse group of athletes that you know what to say. But if you're going to say something mean, it's not going to get done. Now, I want to get into this whole timing system thing. And thanks to all of our guests and all of our sponsors and the folks at Sam Tech and Racer Supply Store, Frank Hawley, Rodax, everybody who's on board, EV3 Drag Racing, the game for your mobile device, everybody that supports WFO and helps us promote the show, bring on new listeners. That's our number one goal, new listeners. And this is a magazine show in that the guests, we interview them, and I don't really fight against anybody. It's not like the Ignition Show or many of my talk shows in the past where I will fight for my own opinion. Because most of the time I put my opinion aside on this one. But I'm going to give you my opinion right now about this whole timing system situation. Because I think there is potential for unnecessary damage. Okay, can anything that is made by man fail or be mistake? And the answer is yes, of course. But the CompuLink timing system, and I could have gotten Brockmeyer on here. The day that Bob Brockmeyer comes on the show, it's not going to be to address a glitch or a problem. It's going to be to talk about how he developed this system that is the industry standard in our sport. in the sport of NHRA mellow yellow drag racing, the highest level of drag racing on earth, the major league, the pros. When it comes to drag racing, it is the NFL. It is the standard. CompuLink is the thing in the standard. And given the amount of runs that go down tracks over the course of a season, the failure rate is extremely low. We never are talking about this. This week we're talking about it. Why? Well, we had a race come down to 2/10,000ths of 1 second, and they're bikes, not cars. And yes, they looked really, really close. We looked really, really close. And everybody is talking about it. You got two teams. You got Matt and Angie Smith, Matt Smith Racing, and you got White Alligator Racing with Ellie Tonglet. So you got two people involved, and they have their own self-interests. Now, we know from history that you cannot expect that human beings will take their own self-interest and put it by the wayside for the good of a sport. They will not do that. It does not happen, which is why we have referees in football, umpires in baseball, referees in basketball, courts of law with judges. We have all those things because when the moment happens that two people both feel like they got it, one of those people is not going to say, yeah, I didn't get it. I was out. I was out at first. I felt like I got there, but then really, I was out. They're not going to do that. No, I won the fight. Or I didn't win the fight. I think he beat me. Yeah, now that I think about it, it was a tight fight. It was a good fight, but he scored some more points in the middle rounds. I probably lost. We know that doesn't happen, which is why we have all these people employed to be the judge. And in the drag racing world, once upon a time, there was a guy who stood down there. You see it on the TV shows. Yeah, Ellie Tonglet by 2/10,000ths of a second. It doesn't happen because that person's credibility is in question. Who are they? Who are they connected to? Do they want? Did they call it? Did they see it? Are they good? Can they see? What's their vision like? Maybe they saw the wrong thing. Maybe they said the wrong thing. Maybe they're in the tank. We have a judge. The judge is called CompuLink. The judge decides. The judge is an infrared beam. The judge has failed, to our knowledge, single-digit number of times. Everyone references back with Steve Johnson back in the day. And after that, they changed the rules on the pro stock motorcycles so that they tripped the system just like everybody else. And since then, I don't know, can you recall times where the system has just been wrong? Maybe you can. Once, twice, you'd have to send it to me. But in addition to that fact that the system rarely ever goes wrong, we also have photographic and video evidence of this particular case. We know that the camera is not set at 1,320 feet. Number one, because Brockmeyer has confirmed it. And number two, we just have to look at the camera. You can see it's not exactly on the finish line. It's a little bit skewed. They didn't think they had to put it perfectly on 1320 because we have a judge, and the judge is called CompuLink. The judge says 2/10,000ths of a second, Ellie Tonglet won the race. And Matt Smith lost the race. That's what the judge says. But we're not going to believe the judge. We think on this specific example, the judge is wrong. And that we're going to look at this picture, which is clearly warped. It's got all kinds of graphics. The photograph I see, the bikes are pretty much on top of the finish line as opposed to the breaking the beam with the front tire. There are other photographs of LE that looks like he's ahead. It's certainly close. It's certainly close. I remember watching it in real time. I felt like, oh my gosh, thank goodness we have a judge for this kind of stuff. And the judge says Ellie Tonglet. And the next time you win by 2/10,000ths or 1/10,000th or 9/10,000th or 1,000th, You want people to believe the judge. And the judge is CompuLink. Because I feel like I could make a very competitive case that every 1,000th of a second race is not legit. And then suddenly you got 10 sportsman racers at every national event saying their result is not legit. And then I've lost many races by 1,000th of a second. None of them are legit. I won all of those races. All of them. I won them. Every 1,000th of a second defeat that I've ever experienced, I won it. Because I say so. Even though the judge did not. And I know a lot of the fans of Matt were real emotional about it. And that's great. That's awesome. But you gotta accept the ruling of the judge, of the umpire, of the referee, of the decider. And the decider is CompuLink. And the decider said Ellie Tonglet won. And that's it. Next race, Brainerd could go against you. Could go the other way. What happens if Matt Smith wins a race by 2/10,000ths of a second in Brainerd, in Indy, in the countdown, the championship? Well, first of all, you know a lot of people just for their own entertainment are going to say that the win doesn't count. It's not true. We know for certain that the photo will be close. It's 2/10,000ths. Got a close photo. So I just don't think it's productive. That's all. I know emotions run high and everybody wants their guy to win and everybody wants to be the winner and everybody works extremely hard and it has been very emotional out there. All good things. It's great stuff. To call into question the integrity and credibility of the judge who decides all drag races, CompuLink. Danger. Not good. Better have really conclusive evidence. And like I said earlier, if I was a referee and they kicked it upstairs to me to make that decision, to decide whether or not the ruling should be overturned, the play on the field stands. There is inconclusive evidence to overturn the ruling on the field. That is my opinion. And it's just not a good thing when now comes into question so many other things. And the next time there's a race decided by .00 anything, it could go a bad direction. So there you go. And you waited all show for that. I could have said that to you in the first segment. And I don't know. We're just in a new time with Facebook and everybody wants to be a lawyer is what it is. Everybody wants to be a lawyer. They want to make a case and they want to try a case and they want to have their case be right. And I get it. I do too. But if you look at the photograph that I put on WFO Radio's Facebook page, I think you see it one way on the bottom and one way on the top. One photo is distorted and the other photo is not. One photo shows Ellie getting there and the other photo shows Matt Smith getting there, but it's a half a frame later. So you want my opinion? Ellie Tonglet won the race. There you go. But Matt Smith and Angie Smith have worked their tails off the past couple of weeks, beginning out there in Denver on the side of the road after something going wrong with their motorhome and fighting and clawing and scratching and getting all the way to the final round and coming up 2/10,000ths short. It's got to be brutal. And this is drag racing, a sport where normal levels of intensity are not even considered, where everything is just total heartbreak and brutal and just a horrible experience coming up short. No, not 1,000th. It's 2/10,000ths. Half inch at 198 miles per hour. How do you like that? And that's the deal. They'll be back out in Brainerd. They got a bike that can win the title. That is all good news. It will be bad, though. It will be bad. The next time someone loses, to call into question, well, I don't think that's a true result. That could take the sport in a bad direction, and I would avoid it. That's me. All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed this program. You know, the Ignition Show. The Ignition Show is just last week's Ignition Show, I feel like, was one of the most fun and entertaining shows that we have done. So go to the archive and listen to the most recent Ignition Show, from last week. and make your own assessment. I am proud to say that that was a fun, entertaining piece of audio. And we were all over the board. It is not like for our guy who hates NASCAR, he hates it. It's vile. NASCAR. Ugh. Race cars and stuff. Jason Line used to work over there. No. Hatred. Well, whatever your feelings is, I feel like you will find something to like about the Ignition show. So check it out, Ignition. My next race is Brainerd. I'll be out there in Brainerd. I'm excited about that. Brainerd, then Indy, then Charlotte, and just like that, we're coming down the stretch, baby. Going to be out there at Marvin's. Thanks to all our sponsors. Thank you, folks. Big Fish Tools and EV3 Drag Racing. Drag Racing Edge magazine. You can subscribe online. Get the magazine. The magazine's good. We're picking up listeners from the magazine. That's good stuff. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, RoadAxeCoffeeandGrills.com, School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. And if you have made it to this end of the show and you've got a company that you want the world to know about, or at very least, the universe, the WFO universe, reach out to me. We can work on bringing on some new sponsorships for the 2018 season. We are talking about it already. All right, everybody, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. And, it's tough. Very tough when you see people that you know and like, and they are competing at the highest level, and someone comes up short. It's just really difficult. It's a really difficult situation. But that's what NHRA drag racing is all about. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Alan Reinhart, great job. Everybody who participated. Candida Benson, follow her at Candida Benson. Follow WFO Radio, all that social media stuff. Do it. See you next time.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.